Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if RWBY watches Naruto vs Gaara. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Engineer Forever and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Teams RWBY and JNPR, 8 students of the illustrious Beacon Academy for Huntsmen and Huntresses, were gathered in a recreational room, having a whole month off from classes while recovering from the grim breach. With the vital festival, and consequently the tournament starting soon, Professor Ajban, their headmaster, had pushed for focus on restoring the city of Vale, and, most importantly, relaxing before the tournament. The two teams were gathered on a large couch, snacks and blankets around while they wore casual clothes or, as in Ruby's case, pajamas. They'd been watching some show that Weiss had been enthralled with prior to coming to Beacon, but with school and just life in general, she'd been unable to find time to watch it. And I'm bored of Weiss boy drama, Yan yawned, grabbing the remote. Changing the channel. Hey! Weiss glared at her. Who made you in charge? We should at least vote on this. All in favor? Ruby asked, a majority of hands going up, all but Weiss of course. The majority has it, the white-themed girl just huffed while crossing her arms. Well, I never. Veritas Ikita's John read the title card as opening music came to a close with a guitar strum. The top word was written sharply in royal blue and white ink, almost professionally, whereas the bottom word looked like a street artist that was fond of orange and red colors went nuts. Sounds interesting. Guys? I can't get it to come off the pause screen. Yang pursed her lips. The screen shimmered for a moment before a series of white words scrawled across a black backdrop. With the words came a robotic voice. Hello teams RWBY and JNPR. Consider yourselves honored as you are given a glimpse of an alternate universe. Sounds neat. Nora declared with a grin. Sounds ridiculous, Weiss said with a roll of her eyes. This is obviously a prank. Not entirely. We live in a world where monsters without souls try to kill humans and faunas alike for just existing, Blake said. She crossed her arms and shrugged. I've read countless books on multiverse theory. I believe it's possible. She's just mad that we changed it from her stories, Yang said with a roll of her eyes. She pointed the remote at the screen. Come on, let us watch the show already. The screen went back to the title card and then started to play. Sweet, longest flight ever. A young man groaned as he knocked his head against the metal interior of the airship he rode in. He crossed his arms over his chest and hung his head when he heard no reply. I never should have stopped for that bull, figures those two jerks would run off without me. The teen looked up as a blonde boy that wore an interesting armored jacket similar to his own, without the awesome hood and with a different symbol. He noted, rushed past him to the back of the airship with his hands over his mouth. John groaned, palming his face while Ruby and Yang snickered. The teen arched his own golden brow while his blue eyes twinkled in amusement. Then again, maybe I'm just not looking on the bright side of things, he said with a snicker. He slid down and crossed his legs in front of him, where they stuck out into the aisle, and interlaced his hands behind his head while he looked up at the ceiling. Still though, I hope those two aren't trying to kill each other. After all, I need one for pranks and the other for homework. He speaks my language. Yang grinned wolfishly. I don't do your homework. Weiss sniffed. Agreed. Blake frowned. I know. Yang nodded and smirked. I just copied you when you're asleep. It's much easier that way. Weiss and Blake took the time to glare at the blonde. Someone near him let out a small laugh and he looked over at the amused redhead with bronze and red armor that revealed her prime physique. He grinned at her and gave her a friendly wave. The girl seemed to freeze for a moment before she shyly waved back. Before he could invite her over or go over to make a new friend, a woman appeared as a hologram behind him. Goodrich blocked. I hate when that happens. Jan snickered and elbowed Pira, who looked at Tad flustered at the blonde boy's possible actions. She had light blonde hair pulled back in a bun, a white blouse and dark skirt. From her shoulders fell a cape that was purple and had almost devil-like tails coming off of it. Her green eyes were behind rectangular glasses that rested on her nose. Overall, he gave her a 7 out of 10 on the scaling system. He wasn't into the librarian look. Hello and welcome to Beacon. The young man stood and interlocked his hands behind his head as he barely restrained himself from jumping with joy. Those words meant this stupid flight was almost over. My name is Glinda Goodwitch. You are among the privileged few who have received the honor of attending this prestigious academy. Our world is experiencing an incredible time of peace. Weiss and Blake scoffed in sync at this. If only that were true, the teen whispered sadly while his left hand reached up to grab hold of the item that hung from his neck. He tuned out the rest of Goodwitch's speech as he looked over his prized possession. The necklace was not important, being a simple cord of orange wire, but the gold rings that hung from it were. They were the wedding bands that belonged to his parents. May they rest peacefully with Aum. He was not old enough to remember their faces when they died, but he was told that they were good people who lived to protect, and thus he lived for the same reason. The boy looked up as the hologram flickered away and tightened his grip on the rings. He looked over his reflection and grinned widely at it. The whisker-like birthmarks on his cheeks spread wide by his smile. His untamable mess of sunny blonde hair was kept under a black hood that protruded from an orange and black jacket that was partially unzipped to reveal a mesh-like undershirt. The jacket had small bits of dark armor attached over the shoulders, chest and back, with a red and black spiral painted on the shoulders and back. His trusty Stormbreaker gauntlets were fitted around his arms and hands. From the waist down he wore orange pants that had hidden padding sewn into it. Finally, protecting his feet were his old Academy's signature combat sandals, a variant of hunter boots that allowed for more kinesthetic impact. Fashionable, functional, and breathy too? That's nice. Jan smiled. And when trenching through mud and slug? Weiss commented, making the blonde blanch. Good point. The blonde teen let his rings fall back and rest against his chest before he zipped his jacket up and looked over the view below him. Well, Beacon, I hope you're ready for Naruto Uzumaki. His grin widened and his eyes flashed mischievously. Then again, I kind of hope you're not. We got ourselves a bad boy. Nora sang, I wonder what he's gonna do when he comes for you, bad boy, bad boy. I do like the bad boys, Yang mused playfully. And he is Studley. Weiss rolled her eyes. Come on, Yang, he's a fictional character. And Dr. MC Dreamy wasn't the one you were drooling over in your anatomy show? Shut up, Yang. Weiss mumbled with a light flush. He looked up as the blonde from before ran from his corner back towards the front. As the boy passed two girls, they started to freak out about some puke on one of their shoes. Naruto could only laugh. Oh yeah? This is going to be awesome. It was not awesome, it was painful. John slumped in his cushiony seat. My idiot senses are tingling. A young man mused from where he leaned against a light pole on the main walkway into Beacon. Wild burnt orange hair covered his head and bangs fell down over solid black sunglasses. He wore a dark red shirt and black pants, with combat sandals that were required at Khan Academy. Around his waist was an orange belt of fur that twitched occasionally. Rested against his left shoulder under his crossed arms was a black staff that had a ring at the top that had 6 small knives dangling from it. He looked over at the airship that came into the dock and smirked. I think he finally arrived. Good for nothing, lazy hairless ape. Look who's talking, Foxboy, another youth said lowly from where he was perched on the light pole, uncaring as the other growled at him for the name. The new speaker had an angular face and raven black hair. He wore a navy blue high-collared and long-sleeved mantle that parted just below his waist to reveal similarly dark pants and sandals that his companion wore. The youth sat up and revealed a red and white fan on his back, perched above his waist, around which was a belt where a solid black sword was clipped. He gripped the light pole's neck with gloved hands and swung down to land beside the red-clad teen and looked at the sunglasses with black eyes. Hello? Hottie alert, Jan said, gazing at the image of both with lidded eyes. We have a punk, a wild one, and the cool silent one. All we need now is an overly pretty boy. Blake said in a low voice. What? Ruby asked. Nothing. Is something wrong? He asked the red-wearing teenager. The ginger-haired youth let out a growl. Don't call me Foxboy, airless. The onyx-eyed youth's eyes flashed. Ah, that's right. You're not a boy anymore. I forgot, you finally went through your what was it again, heat? Well, this is fun banter, I think. Pirov frowned a little in thought. I'm so tempted to drain you dry right now. Oh come on, guys. Can't you wait at least a day before you try to rip each other apart? The two looked away from one another as Naruto approached them with his duffel slung over his shoulder. Naruto grinned at his classmates and fellow con graduates. I mean, I need to have more than one alias after I prank that good witch chick. She's just asking for it, dressing up like a librarian and all. I'd bet Airless wants to tap it. What with his fetish and all? The red-clad teen mused. The two amused boys looked at their raven-haired companion, while he scowled at them, and his cheeks tinted. I do not have a fetish, he hissed. Well, you can't blame him. Rin shrugged. He blinked when everyone gave him odd looks. What? Good witch is hot. That explains some things. John mumbled. He had thought he heard Rin mumbling in his sleep. Sure you don't, Sasuke. Naruto leaned over to the red-clad teen and not too quietly whispered, he's still in denial. Screw you, Uzumaki. Sasuke snapped. I'd quiet down if I were you, Sasuke. Isn't that how that rumor got started? The red-clad teen asked with a vulpine-like grin on his face. Both Sasuke and Naruto shuddered at the memory and then glared at the one who reminded them of it. If I remember correctly, that was because you started it, Kurama. Naruto grumbled. Kurama, as he was named, let his grin widen. I ain't denying it, unlike Mr. Librarian Fetish. Go chase a rabbit, Atsutsuki. Sasuke scowled at Kurama, and here come the animal taunts. Blake frowned, figuring Kurama was a faunus. His belt spoke it all. I think it's more friendly banter. Like you and Tuna, Ruby said. Blake turned pink and looked away. If you guys would stop getting it all the time, it's too funny. Weiss confessed with a small giggle. Blake would always go starry-eyed and start drooling whenever they gave her a dish with tuna in it. More like hilarious. Jan corrected with a smirk. Kurama's grin never wavered as his red aura began to leak out and he adjusted his grip on his staff. Why don't you make me Uchiha? Sasuke's black aura started to leak out as well and he grabbed onto the handle of his sword and began to draw it. I'd be glad to dash. They were stopped from fighting by an explosion that occurred somewhere down the walkway. Ooh, boom boom. So big and beautiful, I wonder if someone got hurt. But that cloud, let's go investigate. The cheerful Naruto declared as he rushed off towards the source. Ruby covered her eyes while Weiss shifted uncomfortably. They did not want to relive this moment ever again. Sasuke and Kurama exchanged a look before they chased after their excitable friend. It was never a dull day when one was a friend with Naruto Uzumaki. Another dust accident? No residue or destruction. So lame. Naruto pouted in disappointment as he came across the source of the explosion. Well, I'm sorry I didn't blow up enough for you. Ruby crossed her arms and pouted. These guys were proving to be real meanies already. Lighten up, sis, they didn't even really meet you yet. Yang patted her younger sister on the head. He continued to mope while the girl dressed in white yelled at the girl in the red cape. His two friends palmed their faces as they came across his discovery. Figures that's what you'd be disappointed about, Sasuke said with a sigh. He looked over at Kurama when a growl left the teen's throat. What's your problem, Foxboy, aside from that annoying nickname? Her. Kurama glared from behind his sunglasses at the white-themed girl. He bared his teeth, revealing a sharper-than-average fang in place of a human's canine, and growled again. She's a shni. Was it the snowflake that gave it away? Hey! Weiss frowned at the insult of her symbol by Blake. It was her family crest for a reason, one she didn't want to explain right now, but it was still a good reason. Bless you, Naruto said as he overcame his initial disappointment. He did not just compare my name with a sneeze. Weiss shouted in outrage while her friends giggled or chuckled. Oh yeah, he did. Yang grinned. Sasuke smacked him upside the head. No, you idiot. The Shni family is the family most well known for dust mining and the faunus bias. It's damn near slavery. Kurama snapped at the darkly themed teen. No you don't. Yang said as her hand slapped over Blake's politically prone mouth. No rants, just watch. Blake rolled her eyes. She wasn't going to rant, honestly. They get wages that equal the dangers, the fact it's less than human workers, who do not face such dangers but perform more mundane tasks in the office, is what's so controversial about it. Sasuke returned coolly as he rolled his eyes. That's what the media wants you to think. Kurama snarled. He scoffed and looked away before the other boy could retort. Stupid, arrogant asshole. Pot, meat kettle, have you realized something? You're both black, and so are Blake's ears. Ruby said to herself as she looked at her teammate's head, waiting. Blake's bow twitched right on cue and the red-themed team leader grinned from where she was bundled up in her pajamas and cloak. Naruto drawled as he stared at the two. He sighed and rubbed the back of his head. Man, what am I going to do with you guys? Could you excuse me? A calm voice asked. Naruto turned and looked down at the girl with hair as dark as his friend's. She was dressed in black clothes with a revealed midriff and had a large bow on her head. Naruto cracked a grin and looked at Sasuke. Hey, I found your dream girl. She's practically a female you. I'm not pleased. Blake had a frown on her face. Welcome to my world. Weiss huffed. Funny idiot. Maybe you should follow our example and get out of her way, Sasuke said as he stepped to the side. Naruto chuckled sheepishly and did as he was asked. Yes, sorry, Ms. Dash? The girl walked away without much of another word. She did stiffen slightly as she walked by Kurama, who merely arched a brow in return. Wow, rude much? Naruto asked with a small frown. Kind of. Yang agreed with her fellow blonde, which made her partner frown further. Yang grinned at her. Don't worry, you'll be a social butterfly in no time thanks to Professor Yang. Hide your children, Ruby warned everyone. Ouch sis, ouch. Then again, he hadn't helped matters with his comment. She's a faunus. Kurama's observation was softly spoken. He crossed his arms and let his weapon rest against his shoulder. Probably irked from being near Shni, Blake looked away from Weiss' pointed gaze. She had nothing to say about that, but actions always speak louder than words. The idiot's comment probably didn't help. For once, we agree. Naruto slumped to the ground and began to draw circles on the sidewalk. My friends are so mean to me. I also agree with the idiot's observation. Kurama added with a grin. That was definitely the female, faunus version of you, Uchiha. While Sasuke dryly glared at him, Naruto perked up and threw an arm around Kurama's shoulders. I knew my right-hand man wouldn't leave me hanging. Of course not. I want to see you drown in your precious noodles. Kurama smirked as Naruto squawked. Is that a friend, or someone just hanging out with you to see how you're off? John asked Rin. That was pretty dark, John. Well, it just feels that way to me. Blasphemy. Sasuke shook his head and looked up at the largest hall that was in front of them. Come on, I think there's supposed to be a speech or something. We hurry before we miss it. And how do you know that? Naruto asked his friend. Sasuke smirked back at him before he started to walk away with a smirking Kurama behind him. Because idiot, this is still a school. Ah crap, I hate it when he's right. Naruto sulked for a moment. He followed his two friends. Wait up, you jerks. A young man walked around the campus of Beacon, smiling gently as he did. He was dressed oddly, even for most hunters, wearing a russet pinstripe outfit underneath a green haori with white trimmings. Around his waist was a brown sash that had a simple, if bulky, metal bar clipped to the back of it. Only wooden sandals with straps the same color of his haori protected his feet. His bangs were long enough to reach the top of his torso, the hair a silky black, though most of it was pulled back into a white bun holder. When one added his androgynous features, it was hard to tell if he were a boy, which he was. He despised it so, but it was a fact of life and he had come to accept it. That he accepted it didn't mean he'd have to like it though. Blake's cheeks were a bit pink at the new character's face. Well, I called that one. Are we sure that's a boy? Nora asked with furrowed brows. Yes, Nora. But Ren, they could be lying. Nora. But dash. Nora. Nora pouted and Ren sighed. Great. Now they were fighting for the next however long Nora wants to be mad at him minutes. With a soft complacent sigh, the feminine boy let his hands rest behind his back and continued his stroll towards the auditorium for the inevitable opening speech. As he rounded a bend, he was nearly bowled over by a young couple, both of which looked to be in a panic. The saving grace? The girl had spotted him and stopped both herself and her companion before they ran smack into him. Sorry. The girl, a short thing she was for a 17-year-old, apologized to him. He took a moment to quickly assess her build. What? He was a healthy teenage male. He could look if he so wished. Ruby covered herself on reflex and turned bright red. Stranger danger. No, it's good a hot guy is checking you out, lil sis. Yang educated her sister. Since when? Always, Ruby. Besides, if he tries anything, I'm sure I'll kick his ass. Yang smiled at her sister. She was a petite girl, dressed in black clothes that were accented by red to match the red cape she wore. Her weapon was in a compacted form, much like his own, and hung from her waist. Her skin, again like his, was a pale white and her eyes were an interesting silver. Her hair was short, dark and, like her clothes, had red highlights. It's no problem, he answered after he finished his quick moment of appreciating her modest bust. Again, healthy teenage male. More stranger. Even more danger. Ruby turned red, covering her apparent modest bust. Correction, I know I'll kick his ass. Yang frowned. A once-over was fine, but staring at her little sister's chest was not okay. The androgynous male looked at her companion when he asked his next question. Why are you two in such a hurry? The blonde teen, built far differently from himself, was an inch or so taller than he was with broad shoulders and a good physique. His armored clothes looked rather hastily thrown together, a mess of colors that would do well to conceal him, but it was the weapon that drew his attention. The sword and sheath were infamous and easily recognizable. They belonged to an ark. I thought you were a farmer? Weiss recalled to John. My family, yeah? Then why is your shield and sword infamous? John shrugged. I dunno. Wow, you're a load of useful information, Weiss said with a huff. Interesting. We're trying to figure out where the auditorium is, the boy said. He sounded rather young. A hand was thrust from the blonde and a small grin was on his face. John Ark, nice to meet you. And I'm Ruby Rose. The cute girl in red added her own hand. He took the Ark's hand with a smile and after he shook it, took Ruby's in a gentler, but firm shake. The pleasure is mine. I am Hakayuki. So, you wouldn't happen to know if we're supposed to be anywhere, do you? John asked awkwardly. Haku supposed the boy was trying to determine whether he was a male or female. John nodded. I very much would do that. I honestly wouldn't have been able to tell unless he told me. I don't think anyone would. Pyrrha admitted. I probably wouldn't care. Jan said shamelessly. Haku had to admit, this was the one boon that came with being androgynous. Well, that and all the female admirers. Girls were strange, but he wasn't complaining. Taking pity on the two, Haku smiled gently. Yes. There's bound to be an opening ceremony or speech of some sort in the auditorium. I was just about to head over that way. Would you like to join me? Please. Yes. Haku smiled and let his hands fall behind his back. Wonderful. I always enjoy making new friends. This way. Follow me to your deaths, please. Everyone looked at Nora. Too dark? The hammer girl asked with a finger placed on the side of her head. Just a bit. Ren told her. I'm still not talking to you, Ren. Ren frowned slightly. I smell maybe one or two other faunas here aside from the femme Sasuke, Kurama said lowly from his place on the wall in the back of the auditorium. He ignored the glare from his dark-haired companion and sighed softly. So much for being a faunus-friendly school. It's just the first years gathered. Blake rolled her eyes. She thought the same, but when the grades started to mingle, she realized how wrong she was. Don't worry about it, buddy. You still got me and Sasuke, and as long as we stick together, nothing can stop us. Naruto grinned as he let his hands interlock behind his head. Sasuke dropped his glare and stared at the blonde member of their trio dryly. What did you do? Naruto looked hurt at the question and placed his hands over his chest. Sasuke, my friend, how could you be so cruel? To suggest that I would step out of line and perform some sort of delinquent act of mischief. I'm hurt. Sasuke merely stared at him for another minute before he looked at Kurama. So what did he do? Kurama ignored Naruto's outrage and let a small grin cross his face. Well, I promised I wouldn't tell. Tell us. Everyone demanded, eagerly awaiting the reason. I didn't even do anything yet. Naruto protested. Sasuke, like Kurama, ignored the blonde. What should I prepare for? The rubber chicken incident or something along the lines of the eraser scheme? You guys aren't even listening to me, are you? Now, I just want to know what else he's done. Stupid inside jokes, Yang pouted, crossing her arms under her bust. Meh, more like the lunchroom war of Class E. That bad, huh? Naruto crossed his arms over his chest and pouted. You guys are literally the worst friends imaginable. Why don't you go try to make better friends then? Sasuke asked. Well, maybe I will. Naruto shot back. Kurama snorted. You're way too stupid to make new friends. See, RWBY? You're not alone. Shut up, Yang. Naruto opened his mouth to retort, but went quiet as the lights dimmed and a gentle clearing of the throat came through the microphone. The three turned to the stage to see Glinda Goodwitch and a gray-haired man that was easily 3 or so inches taller than her. He was dressed sharply, with a green scarf around his neck and had a cane in his left hand as he addressed the students. I'd like to make this brief. And boy does he, John whistled. Naruto slouched against the wall with a sigh. And by that he means he's going to prattle on and on about his school's prosperity, dignity and the rules. I dunno, he seems to be a bit distracted, Sasuke said as he listened to the apparent headmaster speak. What he needs to do is back away from the microphone. Kurama muttered as he dug in his right ear with his pinky. The feedback is killing me. And he's done. What? Seriously? Naruto snapped his eyes open and gaped as he saw the man walk away while Goodwitch stepped forward. Damn, why couldn't our school assemblies be that quick? They always drag things out, RWBY groaned, leaning her head against Yang's shoulder. Her sister patted her head in comfort. I know, thankfully Professor Ajban didn't. RWBY nodded in agreement. Gather in the ballroom tonight. Tomorrow your initiation begins. Initiation? What is this, a cult? Kurama asked slowly with a hint of amusement. Did he do something to the cookies? RWBY asked with utmost seriousness. No. The rest of Team RWBY told their leader quickly. Oh good. The leader breathed out in relief, which was followed by Yang, Blake and Weiss' own relived sighs. A hyperventilating RWBY was not a fun RWBY. Sasuke shook his head and stepped away from the wall towards the auditorium doors. I wouldn't be surprised. Come on. Let's go find the ballroom so we can claim a place to sleep. Right behind you, Naruto said as he followed his two friends. He turned and caught sight of the same girl from his airship. She noticed him and gave a quick wave that he reciprocated with his usual grin plastered on his face. Naruto turned back to his friends as the sea of people obscured her from his view. Shame too, it was a nice view. Pirajas turned slightly red at this and found her gloved fingers very interesting. Segregated sides? Where's the fun in that? Naruto asked with a frown as he walked over to the far side of the ballroom with his pack and sleeping bag. Yang tossed her arms in the air with a frustrated groan. I know. All that potential. Wasted, yes for you. Weiss scoffed, Pira nodding in agreement. Neither of them wanted to encounter a wandering hand at night. He dropped his stuff on the ground and began to prepare for bed, which, for him was rather easy. Remove all clothes, save for the unmentionables, and throw on a pair of shorts. With no shame at all, Naruto stripped. It was hard to feel shame when one was raised mostly by themselves or was influenced by certain unique classes offered at Khan Academy. After all, hunters and huntresses had to be able to adapt to any situation at any time. It didn't hurt that Naruto noticed a few girls had paused to admire his build. That was just a coincidental bonus. Hello, Dreamboat. Yang Wolf whistled while most of the girls averted their eyes. The blonde bombshell paused the television and roamed over the image. I wouldn't mind that snuggled up against me, would you? She asked Weiss and Pira, both of which were blushing bright red. Yang! RWBY protested. Don't deny it, Rubes, you'd like it too. John and Rin just rolled their eyes. Nora shook her head. Girls, am I right, fellas? She asked Rin with a grin. Are we talking now? Duh, we're best friends. Rin smiled. All was right in the world. Whoa, Uzumaki. Am I gonna have to get some lean out for that show? Kurama asked with a smirk as he walked up to the blonde. He changed from his clothes into red pajama pants and a white tank top. His sunglasses had been replaced with a black sleep mask that had a red fox on the front. The fuzzy belt was still wrapped around his waist. Naruto smirked back at his friend and played with the hem of his running shorts. Well, I'm not opposed to making a bit on the side. So shameless. Weiss said with a wrinkle of her nose. You know you'd love it if your studly doctor did it. Yang teased. Weiss' pale flesh turned glowing red. And no, denial. Yang sang at the stuttering retort. We should have never let you go to that club with the toad sage. Sasuke grunted as he dropped his stuff on the blonde's other side. He had changed from his armor into a modest yukata with red and white fans decorating the material. A plastic green card smacked him in the face, and Sasuke glared at the snickering Kurama. Shut up and take my money, Yang said and tossed some lean at the screen. Dude! Naruto frowned in mock annoyance. He gestured to his well-developed torso. I'm the eye candy here, give me some of that. But he's the one they all want to strip. Kurama countered as he pointed at the girls who had glued their eyes to Sasuke. It always the dark boys, like that timer blah, bra wamar. Nora continued to talk despite Ren's hand covering her mouth. Please ignore her. The green-themed boy said pointedly. The raven-haired boy grunted in annoyance, and tossed the lean hard at Naruto, who yelped as the currency smacked against his right pectoral. Sasuke turned and began to walk away, a small bag in his hands. If you peons will excuse me, I need to go prepare for bed. Of course, oh glorious one. The two chimed back boisterously and obnoxiously. A sole finger was raised back at them without any other to accompany it, and the two troublemakers burst into laughter. What's so funny? The voice made the two look up and promptly burst into more laughter. Help me. Naruto fell to his knees while he held his gut and laughed at the boy who had been emptying his stomach onto the airship floor. He was dressed in a set of light blue footy pajamas. They are warm, John heatedly argued. And downright comfy. Look stupid though. Hey! John glared at Yang, who shrugged in return. Wow, man, and I thought you looked stupid when you went to bed back in the day. Kurama agreed as he overcame his laughter. He faced the confused blonde with a wide grin on his face. What are you wearing? Pajamas, duh. The response made Naruto laugh harder. Kurama, however, shook his head and grabbed his bag. No, you're not. Come on, man, even I'm not cruel enough to let you stay in those. See, John? You made another friend. Pira beamed. Yeah? John smiled lightly. The boy frowned. What's wrong with my pajamas? How can you even see me? Tricks of the trade, PJ. Oh, that had better not stick. John's smile fell into a grimace. Kurama grabbed the blonde's shoulder despite the protest, and dragged him towards the bathroom. Back in a bit, Uzumaki. Don't do anything stupid. Naruto couldn't retort because he was still in the midst of dying from laughter. Excuse me? Sasuke stopped as he walked away from the bathroom back towards his chosen bed. His brain shorted out as his eyes fell on possibly the most beautiful girl smiled at him. She was dressed in a sleeveless pink yukata that covered her modesty with a black choker around her neck. The girl's smile was gentle, much like her features, and she nodded her head slightly. Isn't that the girly boy? Yang pointed out. Blake smirked. Yep. And he doesn't know why trailed off, a devious look on her face. Nope. Ruby said, not seeing what her team was getting at. Sorry, but I was just on my way to bed when someone handed me this bag. I believe it was yours. As well, she trailed off as her eyes went to the fan on his bag and then the fans that decorated Sasuke's yukata. Damn it, Sasuke, do something. Say something. Anything. Sasuke mentally reprimanded himself. If he had full control over his body, he would have promptly palmed his face when all that came out of his mouth was a smart and witty, so romantic. Nora sighed. He knows exactly how to set a mood. Blake mumbled dryly with a small smirk on her face. Sasuke, you're a damn failure. Yes, you are. That's a huge turn-off, Yang declared, her thumbs downward. She let out a soft laugh that sounded like tinkling bells before she set the bag in his hand and bowed slightly to him. Good luck tomorrow and have pleasant dreams tonight. Sasuke could only stare as she walked away, unable to trust himself to say anything other than something stupid despite the fact he so dearly wished to know her name. He was stuck like that for some time, silently berating himself for acting like Naruto, making a fool out of himself in front of probably the most beautiful woman he'd ever laid eyes on. Good night. The sudden jarring from his stupor nearly gave Sasuke a heart attack. The cause of said near heart attack was a girl that only came up to his chin in height. Unlike the goddess he'd just seen, this girl leaned more towards the cute side. Her hair was orange, like a certain annoyance he knew. Elsewhere, Kurama sneezed, and she wore a pink pair of shorts with clouds and lightning on them along with a gray shirt that had the word boop in pink across her chest. It was rather distractive, really. It's me. Nora. Nora sang with a beaming smile. I'm queen of the castle. No forts in the rec room, Nora. Pira smiled at the energetic girl. Yeah, Knight, I'm sorry, why are you standing on my feet? Sasuke asked dryly. The girl beamed a grin at him. So I can do this. She poked him on the nose, as she was prepared to do. Boop, he's been marked. Ren whispered to himself. What was that, Ren? Ren remained quiet while Nora gave him a funny look. Right, well, it was a pleasure meeting you. Nora Valkyrie. Nora, but I really should get going and. Hey, Ren! Come here and check out this guy I found. Think he makes good pancakes? You asked that about everyone. Why? Ruby asked. It's an important fact. Nora said, her tone dead serious. Pancakes are life. Sasuke started at the strange, and very loud, question that was directed at the young man that approached him. He had hair similar to Sasuke's own, but had a lone strand that was a hot pink. He seemed to give Sasuke an apologetic look before he directed his gaze to the eccentric Nora. Nora, come on, it's time for bed. But I was just getting to know Duck Butt. Sasuke's eye twitched. No. He would not let that name start again. It really is a duck butt. Ruby said, tilting her head. Think he lays eggs? John joked. Wouldn't they fall out the back of his head? My name is Uchiha Sasuke. Nora looked at him with wide eyes before she stepped back from him, and put a finger on her lips as she looked him over. Fancy, you must have access to the best maple syrup. Sasuke groaned as the girl began to prattle on about syrup of all things, and she seemed to cut him off whenever he tried to walk away. What fresh hell has he doomed himself to? You get used to it. Ren shrugged. Must resist stupidity impulse. Naruto mumbled to himself as he played with a paddle ball he brought for such an occasion where he'd be left to his lonesome with the strict orders of not doing anything stupid from Kurama. His gaze went over to his bag, where a rubber chicken's leg was visible from the zipper. Sweat poured down the right side of his face as he looked back at the paddleball that was now a blur. Not resisting well, accept your urges and act on them. Release the beast, show us the carnage within. Yang, stop that creepy voice. Ruby shoved her sister a bit. Meh, the blonde stuck out her tongue. Spoil sport. He needed to prank something. Someone. Anyone. He needed to make someone laugh even at the cost of his own social standing. Oh, not you again! Two voices called out in annoyance from the girl's side. It's Jerky Weiss. Flee! Ruby screamed in mock horror. Ha! Ha! Weiss gritted out through her perfectly white teeth. Naruto stopped his paddleball and beamed. Thank you, you great and powerful bastard you. He vacated his seat and quickly made his way over toward the source of the noise. What's your problem with my sister? She's only trying to be nice. She's a hazard to my health. Naruto moved silently through the dimmed lighting to stand behind the loud girl dressed in white. He pulled out his trusty never-fail orange duct tape and prepared a strip that was long enough to go over a person's face twice. Before the girl in white knew what happened, Naruto had taped her mouth shut. He must die. Weiss glared hard at the image. Her visage was that of a vengeful angel from heaven itself. What? A prank didn't have to be elegantly planned out all the time. It just had to be a surprise. Ruby and Yang apparently agreed, since they were laughing at the image while holding their sides. Team JNPR was in a similar state, but not laughing as hard or loud as the two sisters. Stop laughing, you hooligans. Weiss glowered at her supposed friends. At least Blake was behaving. The faunus in question was biting down on her cheek to keep from laughing. The girl, sneeze or something along those lines, let out a muffled shriek while the other three stared at the scene for a moment. The buxom blonde, who Naruto did look over twice because hormones, and the younger-looking girl both burst into laughter while the femme Sasuke let out an aggravated sigh. Well, I think we can all learn something from this. Naruto grinned as the buxom girl let out a snort of agreement. He put a hand on the sneeze's shoulder and gave her a grin. Don't worry, it'll wear off in about an hour or so, and it won't leave a rash, I think. Revenge! Weiss snarled. The girl's eyes went wide and she dashed off towards the bathroom. Naruto turned back to the amused duo and the slightly amused femme Sasuke. He gave them a small grin and whispered to them conspiratorially. It won't leave a rash, but there might be a permanent lipstick for a few days. That's so evil, I love it. The buxom blonde grinned at him. I like you, Whisker Boy. Name's Yang Xiaolong. This is my little sister Ruby. I do like. Yang smirked in agreement of her other. She stroked her chin. Now, how to snag him here? Thankfully, he does not exist here. Weiss huffed. Her words made Yang pout heavily. Darn, and he's practically perfect, she mumbled. Well, actual Blake trailed off when the heiress glared at her, daring her to argue it. Ruby rose. The younger girl, Ruby, corrected. She gestured to the disguised faunus that seemed to be annoyed with them. And that's femme Sasuke. We've met. Naruto grinned at the girl while she stared at him blankly before she shook her head. Blake Belladonna. I'm still gonna call you femme Sasuke. Naruto grinned as her cat-like yellow eyes narrowed. On second thought, I don't like him either. Blake frowned, she and Weiss high-fiving behind the frowning Yang's head. To annoy the stoic was one of his many reasons for living. He held his hands up defensively. Kidding. Geez, no need to be so mean, Belle. Blake, same difference. Naruto shrugged and intertwined his hands behind his head, completely forgetting that he was still shirtless. He was reminded of the fact when Ruby's face gained some color, and Yang gave him an approving once-over. His grin still on his face, Naruto dropped his arms and slipped between the two sisters. So you wanna end this day with a Yang? Because I know I do. And he's punny, it just gets sweeter and hotter. Yang grinned. She frowned. Why is he not real? It's a television show. Blake reminded. Wait, why aren't you telling him down? He made a pun. Weiss pointed to the screen heatedly. Because his was good, and he's got a nice body. I have a nice body. Weiss glared at the girl. 7 out of 10. He's a real catch though. Did you see dem abs? Yang exaggeratedly sucked on her bottom lip. Bet you could grate cheese on dem. They looked like sons, Blake admitted. That's who he reminds me of. John dropped his fist into his hand. Man, it's been bugging me for a while now. Yang smirked back at him and playfully wrapped her arms around the back of his neck. Elsewhere, Kurama, who had just finished helping his new acquaintance John Arc, froze and paled. Oh no, I had always hoped that the possibility was too high. Likewise, Sasuke, who'd somehow managed to get Nora to shut up about pancakes for 5 seconds so her friend could properly introduce himself, did the same. Dear help us, my worst fear has been realized. Unknown to the two, they spoke their next words at the same time, in the same amount of horror. There's 2 of him, and I officially ship Yanguto. Or maybe Nong is better, Yang said to herself in thought, tapping her chin. She shrugged and leered at the whiskered blonde. Either way, I know what I want for my birthday. He's the Een to my Yang. No. Blake admonished her friend with a bop on the head. Ah, come on, it was good. T2 Yangs? The horror. Ruby shuddered. One was all she could handle. I'm up to breaking a few rules if you are, Whiskers. First you gotta tell me, do the carpets match the drapes? Yang's breathy question made Naruto's grin widen. Depends to yours? He's a bold one. Yang whistled while Ruby looked ready to pass out. Pira was red in the face while Weiss was stuttering. How shameless can you two be? And in public no less. Yang shrugged. What? Don't hate the player. Hate the game. Yang's grin widened as she leaned in and not so softly whispered, let's find out. Together. EW. Yang. Gross. Ruby couldn't take it any more after she'd turned into a prime example of a tomato. A glance at Blake showed that she fared no better with her faint blush across her nose. That drew some eyes to the stoic faunus. I like cheesy romance, Sumi. Blake huffed at the judging eyes. Cheesy? Yang frowned. Both Naruto and Yang broke into wide grins and then laughed loudly as they pulled away from one another. Yang smirked at her younger sister once she recovered from her laughter. What's wrong, Ruby? Jealous? Yang's smile widened even more as Ruby's face turned a shade darker. Oh man, their faces, too good. Naruto snickered out. He held his hand out towards Yang. That was awesome. You're a natural prankster, Yang. Sorry I never introduced myself earlier. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. And I still don't like him, the pink-faced Weiss huffed. We know, but I do. Yang grinned. I've been waiting for a guy like that for so long. Yang, cool an actual intro. Yang blinked. An interesting piano opening for such a rude boy. Weiss mused sourly. Sure. I wanna watch it. We missed the intro the first time. Ruby shushed her white-haired teammate. Weiss frowned and looked to Yang, who shrugged. Her sister had some quirks she didn't understand. During the piano intro, scenic shot of beacon is taken that becomes negative upon zooming. The negative coloring corrects itself when the camera flies past Naruto, flipping sharply to zoom in on his hands, clasped tightly around his parents' wedding bands during the song's whispered opening. Despite the lies that you're making / your love is mine for the talking / my love is just waiting / to turn your tears to roses. A hard guitar riff starts as Naruto's eyes snap open. It continues, flashing by profile shots of Kurama, Haku and Sasuke, before the chorus begins. No / you'll never be alone / when darkness comes. I'll light the night with stars / hear the whispers in the dark / no / you'll never be alone / when darkness comes. You know I'm never far / hear the whispers in the dark. During the chorus, Naruto grins while he and Kurama spar and play hand to hand. He gets hip tossed and Haku offers a hand down to help him up while Sasuke tags him and jumps into the square with the smirking faunus. His landing dissolves into a kick onto a Beowulf's head, with Haku rushing in from behind to deliver a blow to the stomach. The Beowulf goes flying and changes with another dissolve into Naruto, who slams into a wall and forces himself back to his feet as the chorus comes to a close. An instrumental with a wailing guitar begins and images of scenes flash by, including Naruto and Yang's first meeting / flirting while they grinned at one another. Blake casually brushing past Naruto, Kurama and Sasuke, Weiss and Kurama butting heads while Naruto and Ruby tried to pull them away, Haku putting a hand on John's shoulder while Nora hangs from Sasuke's, Pira and Rin smiling in the background. The screen went black and the instrumental faded before the chorus repeated. No / you'll never be alone / when darkness comes. I'll light the night with stars / hear the whispers in the dark / no / you'll never be alone / when darkness comes. You know I'm never far / hear the whispers in the dark. As the chorus repeats, the four boys are standing shoulder to shoulder while they face off against shadowy figures covered with red mushroom clouds. Split-screen face-offs were shown next. Sasuke's eyes sparked with black lightning arcing over his body while he glared at a figure that opened white and red eyes with commas in them. Kurama's sunglasses flashed red and he tightened his grip on his staff as a toothy grin was sent to him. Haku's eyes narrowed firmly as he lifted a white mask up towards his face as a beautiful woman's face turned into a frown. Naruto grinned in challenge and his eyes turned gold before the camera goes back to the towering figures, the one across from Naruto gaining purple and rippled eyes. Aura burned around the boys as they leapt at the shadows, with Naruto in the lead, while the song finished on a hard guitar solo. That was awesome! Ruby cheered with her fists punching the air as the title card appeared on the screen. What was with the strange eyes though? Blake asked with a thoughtful frown. I think they're not as concerned with the white fang as we are, Weiss said. Oh goody, we get the terrorists and monsters to deal with, John said dryly. Yes. We win by default. Nora cheered. She began to do a victory dance in her seat before Ren stopped her as the show began. Alright, Nora, we get it. Let's watch now, okay? Ren asked. Right, sorry. Nora laughed sheepishly and rubbed the back of her head. Oh yeah, you stir those noodles, you beautiful woman that lives in my house, Naruto mumbled between snores. What noodles is he talking about? Nora scratched the side of her head in thought. There's so many types. Are there really? John asked. Yeah. There's ravioli. I love that word, ravioli, ravioli. Give me some more. Jabroni. Nora began to sing a small song about ravioli as she got lost in thought. I can show you the others later, John, Ren said as he looked around Nora at his team leader. Ah, thanks, Ren. He had a dopey grin on his face while he was sprawled out across his sleeping bag. He was a chaotic sleeper. Kurama, dressed in his regular attire and his eyes hidden once more by his dark wraparound sunglasses, stared down at the unconscious blonde with an amused smile on his face. He adjusted his hold on his staff and looked at his annoyed acquaintance. So, do you want the honors or will I get to wake him up today? He asked. Sasuke's eye twitched and he lifted his right hand. Why do I have a sudden chill? John asked at the imagery of Sasuke's face. Well, he did spark in the intro, RWBY mused. Naruto had kicked him at least 5 different times last night. I'm waking him up. I suggest you vacate the area. This is going to be biblical, isn't it? Sasuke said nothing and held his hand out towards the blissfully snoozing blonde. There was a soft crackling as Sasuke's hand became encased in black static. He has an electricity semblance? Pyrrha asked in interest. She wondered how that would affect her own polarity. Duh, intro. RWBY, that's not an answer for everything. Yang chided her sister. Kurama wisely took a few steps back until he was a good 10 meters away. He ignored some of the odd looks sent his way by other students. Be merciful and let Naruto's luck hold strong. There was a loud boom of thunder followed by a sharp yowl from the once sleeping blonde. A beat passed and Kurama looked over at his 2 friends with a light smile, while the rest in the room stared in horrified shock. They must not have expected the giant explosion. Obviously, they hadn't gone to school with Naruto Uzumaki. Those pitiful fools don't know what awaits them. Oh please, Nora scoffed, we blow up the school, like, every other day. Kurama chuckled and began to walk back to his friends when he saw Naruto hop up from his place on the ground. His only damage was a bit of singed hair, and his skin smoked lightly. Wow, he can take some damage, Yan said, impressed with her fellow blonde. He really is a male, Blake mumbled with a hint of concern. Her partner beamed at the thought. I was having a nice dream, jackass. Naruto raged loudly as he glared at his friend. What did you have to go and ruin it for? Our initiation is today. We have to be ready. You don't get to sleep in if we don't. Sasuke was stoic as ever at first, but then there was a small smirk on his face. Plus, retribution. Naruto huffed and crossed his arms over his chest while he pouted. I guess I can't be too mad then. I threw the first punch, after all. You kicked me 5 times, Sasuke drawled with his annoyance plain to see. Oh. We're square then. He gets 4 more shots. Blake pointed out. No, he blew him up. That's all he can offered. Yang brushed off the notion. Stop defending your not boyfriend. Like you'd want to see Sun take 5 explosive shots. Why you shut up, Yang? Never. Naruto nodded before he sent a wave and smiled to his ginger-haired friend. Morning, Kurama. Glad to see your idiocy factor saved your ass again. Kurama returned with a smirk. Naruto hung his head and his shoulders slumped. My friends are so cruel. Why do I always have locker numbers that add up to 9? Naruto asked as he grabbed his gauntlets and necklace from his assigned locker. I mean, in elementary it was 9 exactly, then in con I had locker 234, and now I have locker 603. Must be your lucky number, Kurama said as he adjusted one of the attached blades on his staff. So, you hear anything while you were inhaling your breakfast or were you on ramen mode? Oh, those noodles. Nora nodded but shrugged. I don't see what's so great about them. First of all, I'm always on ramen mode. Naruto corrected sternly as he pulled his bulky left gauntlet on and flipped open the ammo cache to put load it. Secondly, I think there's going to be teams or something. Teams, huh? Any word on how they'll get picked? Kurama asked. Naruto clapped his hand onto the ammunition slot to lock the dust bullets in place before he grinned at his friend. Nope, Kurama sighed. He looked up as another idiotic blonde boy walked past with his face buried in a sheet of paper. Morning, PJ, where are you going? Oh, come on. John tossed his arms in the air. That was worse than puke boy. Huh. Oh, hey Kurama. John greeted with a smile. He chuckled sheepishly and gestured to his paper. Well, I don't remember having to count so high to find my locker, but according to this sheet, I was assigned locker 636. The top brass usually don't make mistakes when it comes to lockers, puke boy. Naruto chimed in from where he sat loading his right gauntlet with ammo. He looked up and grinned at his fellow blonde while John grimaced. Not you too. He bemoaned. Puke boy? Kurama asked as his grin widened. Do I really want to know? No, please, John begged with his hands clasped together. Probably. Naruto shrugged. He shut the lid on his right gauntlet and pumped both fists in. A loud click followed and a grin spread across Naruto's face as he slammed his fists together. Oh yeah. The Stormbreakers are ready to bust some grim heads wide open. I love a man with gauntlets. Yang smiled fondly. She idly began tracing her finger on her neighbor's thigh. Yang. You're stroking my leg. Blake sent a look to her partner. Yang laughed sheepishly and recoiled. Sorry, got lost in thought. Don't let it happen during the tournament, Weiss said. Yeah, as if that would happen. I don't think they'll have us facing Grim at the get-go, right? John asked as he looked at Kurama for reassurance. He paled when he noticed the bloodthirsty grin that spread across the sunglasses-wearing teen's face. Rikudo is ready to deliver peace to their soulless hearts, Kurama said with a cackle. He twirled his staff and slammed it on the ground, which caused the blades attached to the ring to jingle. Do you mind keeping your testosterone levels in you? The 3 boys turned to face the outraged white-clad Shin'i heiress while she glared daggers at Naruto. Naruto frowned and pointed at her. How'd you get the tape off without leaving a mark? I have my ways, Weiss said stiffly, crossing her arms as she glared at Naruto. You know he's not real, right? John asked. That's not the point, as if I'd tell you. You could have killed me with that stunt. The girl snapped. John stepped between the two before Naruto could argue that none of his pranks were life-threatening. Socially devastating, sure, but never life-threatening. Like that's better. The heiress shouted. I thought it was funny. Yang, easy, there's Snow Angel. My friend here didn't mean any harm, John said confidently. Embarrassment was the goal, actually. Naruto chimed in. Dude, you're not helping. John hissed. Oh no, let him help, Weiss said sickeningly sweet. John leaned over to Pyrrha. Has she always been like this? You're often too love-struck to see it. Oh, why would you go out of your way to embarrass someone? A new girl asked. Naruto blinked and grinned at her. Hey, it's the hot redhead from the airship. You look even better up close. The red-headed girl flushed lightly and rubbed her arm. Thank you. Pyrrha looked down and started to twiddle her thumbs while her cheeks burned. He was so forward. Don't thank him, he's the enemy. The white-clad heiress snapped quickly with her glare still locked on the whiskered blonde. And you stop flirting with my teammate. Not teammates, Pyrrha reminded Weiss, who pouted. Teams haven't been decided yet, Schnee, Kurama said pointedly. His grip on his weapon, Rikudo, was so tight that his knuckles had become the same shade as the girl's hair. It doesn't hurt to make new friends, the heiress returned. She crossed her arms over her chest and glared at Kurama. A quick once-over and her attention landed on a certain fuzzy accessory. Her eyes narrowed. Oh, now it makes sense why you're so quick to jump to his defense, Faunus. Oh, we so do not need this. Ruby rubbed her eyes while Blake frowned to Weiss. Hey, I get better. The heiress reminded her friend. Kurama let out a low growl as the fuzzy belt unwrapped itself from his waist and flicked in the air. You got a problem with Faunus. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot that the Schnee family only sees Faunus as slaves. That's a dirty lie. But it seems you would only know dirt since you dig around in the ground so much. The Schnee returned. Oh snap. Nora said with a hand over her mouth. It done got real up in her. Nora, we've talked about this. What, Ren? No. Jay, just no. Okay. Juan looked between the two nervously before he looked at the girl. Hey, come on, Weiss. He didn't mean it. I never say anything unless I mean it, Kurama cut in. Weiss huffed. It seems someone's mother never told him to not say anything at all if he didn't have anything nice to say, Kurama snarled. You want to take shots at parents, Schnee? Two can play at that game. Yo mama jokes be real. Ruby whispered. Never again, Weiss warned her partner. Kurama, that's enough. Naruto cut in as he stood up from his seat on the bench and glared at the fox Faunus. He tightened his hand into a fist when Kurama turned and growled at him. There was a tense and heavy stare down between the two before Kurama scoffed and turned towards the exit. Like she's worth it, Kurama muttered as he stormed off. Naruto waited until he was gone until he sighed and put his gauntlet hand on his head. Great, that'll be fun to deal with. He certainly doesn't show that Faunus are similar to us. Weiss was cut off as Naruto snapped a look at her. His eyes were intense and determined, and it was potent enough to make the heiress pause. He shut up Weiss with a look, Ruby awed. I want to be able to do that. Well, if we had one of our own. No, Yang. Weiss and Blake shot down Yang's hopes. Don't act all high and mighty, you were just as bad as he was. Naruto crossed his arms over his chest. Look, right now it doesn't matter if you're a Faunus or human, if you're an Arc or Schnee or a Pyrrhanikos, or if you're Pyrrhanikos, Naruto said with a grateful nod to the red-headed girl. Now he knew her name, Bonus. We're all students of Beacon now, and we've all got the same goal, to become hunters of Remnant, to protect our home from the grim and criminals alike. That was truly moving, Pyrrha said, clapping her hands while everyone else did the same. It was also nice for him to say she was just like everyone else. There was a small silence among the group before a yellow gauntlet hand punched Naruto's shoulder. Naruto looked to his left and grinned when he saw Yang smiling back at him. Nice speech there, Whisker Boy. Naruto chuckled sheepishly and scratched the back of his head. You think so? I just made it up on the spot. It was very impressive. Pyrrha agreed with a nod. And accurate. We're all equal, despite our aesthetic differences. You girls really know how to make a guy feel special. Naruto grinned as he let his hands intertwine behind his head. He looked at Pyrrha. Name's Naruto Uzumaki, by the way. Hey, Yang frowned and crossed her arms under her bust to accent them. The eye candy is over the other way. Are you jealous? Pyrrha blinked in surprise. Yang's lilac eyes rolled. Duh, he's a keeper. Especially after that speech. The blonde grinned lightly. That's some worldly wisdom right there. Pyrrha hummed at that. I'm John Arc. Juan was quick to throw in. Pyrrha smiled at them and gave a small wave. Hello, John, Naruto. Pleasure to meet you. Believe me, beautiful, the pleasure is mine. John grinned at the redhead. Naruto, and Yang snorted. Cheesy, shut up, who asked you? John pouted at his fellow blondes. He grinned when he spotted a familiar face hiding slightly behind the two. Hey Ruby, hi John. Ruby waved timidly as Weiss' eyes narrowed on her. If you'll excuse me, I need to go prepare my dust somewhere I know I won't blow up, Weiss said coldly before she walked off. Pyrrha looked at the girl with an arched brow. Odd, she seemed nice when we first spoke. Oh, I don't doubt that once you get to know her she's a wise girl. Naruto smiled and held his hand out. Yang snickered and slapped it while RWBY groaned. Nice one. Weiss just looked indignant at this. Yang is so biased. He may be hot, but he's punny. You're not, Weiss. Yang shrugged. Why I never dash. Can we please? Blake groaned at their argument. It was always the start. Dear Aum, there really are two of you. The group of five turned as Sasuke walked up with a pained and terrified look on his face. He gave Naruto a stern glare. If we are going to continue being friends, for my sanity, you must promise never to procreate with her. Yang leaned an arm on Naruto's shoulder and gave him a grin with half-lidded lilac eyes. Well, what if we let you join in handsome? Why, Yang, that's too much. RWBY whined, covering her eyes. There is never too much. Yang declared proudly. No. Both Naruto and Sasuke denied her with flat looks on their faces. Yang shrugged and crossed her arms over her impressive bust. Worth a shot. All first-year students are required to meet at Beacon Cliff. A woman's voice asked over the speaker. Repeat. All first-year students are required to meet at Beacon Cliff. Guess it's showtime. Naruto mused as an excited gleam appeared in his eye. He and Sasuke exchanged a quick glance before they gave their respective grins to one another. This was going to be painful. John summed up. Interesting. Or, that John amended his previous statement sheepishly. Naruto looked down at the pad that he stood on and bounced on it a few times. Spring-loaded, this was going to be fun. He turned to his right to look at Kurama, who was still a bit steamed from his interaction with Weiss, and then to his left to look at the black-haired girl wearing the green yakuta. She had the aptly named game face on, so Naruto decided to not bother her. Instead, Naruto looked forward as the headmaster, whose name he always forgot, Ali something, and Goodwitch walked past. They came to a stop at the end of the line, near where PJ and RWBY stood. Mr. O took a sip from his coffee mug and then addressed the group. For years you have trained to become warriors, he said. Today, your abilities will be evaluated in the Emerald Forest. Bet there's Grim in there. Naruto thought as a grin spread across his face. Oh, he just couldn't wait to unleash the energy brimming inside him. What to do first? Smash? Blast? So many options, and so little time, I totally agree with you. Nora nodded sadly. She blew into a hanky that Ren handed her, and then gave it back, with Ren staring at it for a moment before he sighed. Thank you, Nora. Anytime, run! Now I'm sure many of you have heard the rumor of the assignment of teams. Goodwitch's comment brought Naruto back down to reality from his grim slaying fantasy. Well, allow us to put an end to your confusion. Each of you will be given teammates today. So dramatic, get on with it already, Kurama mumbled as his tail flicked slightly from where it was wrapped around his waist. Naruto heard Sasuke mutter something back, but he couldn't make out the words, so he focused on the teacher. These teammates will be with you for the rest of your time here at Beacon, Mr. O said. So it is in your best interest to be paired with someone with whom you can work well, Kurama grunted. Crap. There's only 3 of us. One of us is going to get stuck with an outsider. Shun the non-believer, John declared. Shun! Nora cheered. She was bopped on the head by her friend. Oh, John, what have I said about getting her started on a mob's perspective? Ren asked with a frown. Not to John's side. Why? Because she can be her own mob. Sorry. Ren nodded. Don't worry about it, Kurama. I'll stay away from the sneeze chick. Naruto returned. Please do. Weiss tersely agreed. Kurama merely nodded his head as the headmaster continued. That being said, the first person you make eye contact with after landing will be your partner for the next 4 years. Oh crap baskets, it just got real up in here, Naruto said with a blink while his friends tensed. That was some high stakes. It also raised the question of how the teachers would even know. Cameras there everywhere. Blake sighed. She had seen a few of the hidden just by walking around the campus, even in the bathroom. Right in the toilets. Nora smirked as the girls paled rapidly. She burst into giggles. God yeah. Man, pranks are fun. It's too late to stop, isn't it? Ren asked while the girls relaxed and or glared at Nora for the poor joke. We are a little sucked in Pira, whose complexion was quick to return, sighed. What? Naruto peered down the line towards the source of the terrified voice. He wondered who the poor bastard was. He hoped he or she wouldn't be his partner. His partner needed to be optimistic. After you've partnered up, make your way to the northern end of the forest. Mr. O continued despite the few murmurs that had broken out amongst the students. You will meet opposition along the way. Do not hesitate to destroy everything in your path, or you will die. He said it, not me. Y'all are witnesses. Naruto crowed with an excited grin plastered across his face. I just got a chill down my spine. RWBY whimpered. We are so connected, Nora whispered as she felt kinship with Naruto. Ren grimaced, and Yang frowned at her. Oh, you too? Nah, he'd be like a brother or something. Ah, okay. Kurama and Sasuke groaned while the others gave him amused, annoyed, or indifferent glances. The headmaster seemed to fall into the first category while Goodwitch fell into the second. Say goodbye to the Emerald Forest. Kurama mumbled. It looked nice from up here. Sasuke nodded. Well, it seems one of you is rather confident, the headmaster noted with a small smile before he continued with his instructions. You will be monitored and graded for the duration of your initiation, but our instructors will not intervene. It just keeps getting better and better. Naruto nearly squealed. We need matching t-shirts, Nora declared. She patted Ren on the shoulder. We're so going to besties with him, Ren. Ren nodded with a light sigh. Kurama leaned over to Sasuke. Not gonna lie, I kind of hope I end up teaming up with you. He just keep asking for more aura, and being the good friend you are, you'd supply it, Sasuke said. Kurama nodded. Find an abandoned temple at the end of the path containing several relics. Each pair must choose one, then return to the top of the cliff, Mr. O said over the three friends' voices. You will guard that item, as well as your standing, and we grade you appropriately. Now are there any questions? Yes. Naruto's hand shot up as he beamed at the gray-haired professor. Is it the 10th? Because I feel like it's my birthday. No, stupid. Kurama answered for the headmaster. It's an early birthday present then. He is way too chaotically happy. Ruby frowned. Yang scoffed, and paused the show for a moment to give a rebuttal. Please, Nora's the same, but we treat her no different. Boom! Nora exclaimed, startling everyone with the sudden loud shout. The orange-haired girl giggled diabolically. Ruby just stared at her sister in disbelief. Yang ignored her and pressed play. Yeah, sir? The faint voice belonging to one John Arc barely reached Naruto's ears while he anticipated being released into the Emerald Forest. Good. Then take your positions, Mr. O said. He must have been ignoring John. Hurtful. The blonde boy admitted. Naruto was as well, but his eyes were focused on the forest as he crouched down like a frog. Gonna get me some mad air. Kurama shook his head and crouched slightly while Sasuke did the same. Find me. I won't move or open my eyes until you reach my position. Sasuke whispered lowly to Kurama, who nodded in return. Was it a move to abuse Kurama's semblance like this? Yes, but Sasuke was not going to let the already monstrous reserves of Naruto Uzumaki be backed by Kurama's own near-endless supply. That would just spell doom for anyone that tried to hire Naruto and his partner down the line. Wait, they have that much aura? Pyrrha asked in mild surprise. They can't be that big. Weiss rolled her eyes, only to make Yang grin. I beg to differ. Weiss turned pink and glared at the lilac-eyed girl. Oh, you pervert. Wow, Weiss, mine to the gutter much? Who knew you had it in you? The heiress looked ready to strangle the blonde, if Ruby wasn't holding her back. Naruto tensed only momentarily before his spring pad sent him flying. At the last moment, he pushed off with his feet and rocketed into the air, further than the recommended height. The whoop that left his mouth was loud and boisterous, much like the boy himself. Pray for the forest, Kurama said before he was launched. Sasuke shook his head and sighed. May the mighty save some of it, and everything burn the end. Nora narrated happily. John just laughed awkwardly and looked at Ren nervously, who remained impassive to the chaotic girl beside him. John leaned over to Pyrrha. If she snaps, I want you to carry me while we run. Okay. Pyrrha smiled happily at her friend. Naruto passed through clouds before he started to descend, and on doing so, he brought his right fist back. His aura charged around him and made his skin give off a golden glow. This was his semblance, or at least, a small portion of it. His semblance, dubbed the Will of Fire by an elder back in his hometown, boosted his strength, stamina, and endurance by at least 5 times that of the average huntsman's already impressive aura supplement. It is always active and can only be increased, hence why Naruto came out practically unscathed when he was woken earlier that morning. Wow, we're so made to be young, smiled widely at this. I need to give Dad a heads up. Ruby mumbled. Though he's never used it to its full potential, Naruto has been told that the boost was supposedly 20 times that of a normal human. No one knew for sure though, because the last person to have a semblance similar to his was his great-great-great-great maternal grandfather. Most of those documents were gone, lost to time. These thoughts came to an abrupt end as Naruto began to pass through the tops of trees without trouble, and then was unaffected by the branches that smacked against his face. The trees, however, could not say the same as they lost the brief battle against the force Naruto struck them with. The whole time he descended towards the Emerald Forest floor, he had not broken his pose. Wait for it, Naruto told himself as he neared the ground. He grinned widely as he threw his fist forward. Now, Naruto's fist met the ground for not a millisecond before the ground caved in. A crater that was obscenely large was created around Naruto's landing spot, and for a moment, all he could see was dust. Remind me never to box with that guy. John thumbed to Naruto while talking to Rin. He could only think Yang with her semblance could fight that monster, or Pyrrha to a certain degree. Will do, the other boy agreed with a small smile. Rin didn't want to think what would happen if the blonde and Nora fought against each other. Boxing sounds fun, Nora mused thoughtfully. The dust was cleared by a gust of wind and Naruto stood up, without a scratch on his body. He beamed as he took in his landing's effect. Ah yeah. That was awesome. I want to do it again. That must have been the Uzumaki boy, the headmaster said nonchalantly as a cloud of dust shot up over a massive area of the Emerald Forest. He took a sip of his coffee mug's contents. Very impressive. I think that's at least a mile in diameter. Oh man, Nora slumped her shoulders. He beat my record. Ren smiled lightly and pat her on the shoulders. Maybe if I dash. No, Nora. But dash. No. Glinda Goodwitch sighed and shook her head as she looked at her scroll. More like problematic in the future. His file did say he had a penchant for destruction. Yes. It also said he never left a project or minor job halfway finished. The headmaster let a smile cross his face, and the man turned to his longtime friend. I believe this year is going to be very interesting, Glinda. Glinda sighed and adjusted her glasses. You say that every year, Professor Ashbin. This time, I mean it. Hear that? We're awesome, Yang beamed while the others agreed. There you are. Sasuke looked up and smirked at the familiar faunus he'd come to sort of befriend. Your aura sense never fails you, does it? He has an aura radar? Blake blinked. That sounds incredibly useful. Kurama smirked as he adjusted the hold on his staff slightly, and lowered his sunglasses. Don't flatter me, Uchiha. You just want me nearby so that my aura transfer can boost your Kirin. And he can transfer it, Yang added while cracking a grin. Like a battery or something, totally awesome. Wanna toss in a tubular there? Shut up, Ruby. Well, that and to ensure Naruto doesn't have access to it. They shivered at the thought. Speaking of the idiot, did you feel the ground shake? Kurama asked. Sasuke chuckled and let his hand rest on the hilt of his sword. The ground? I'm pretty sure he moved the planet with that stunt of his. Oh, so we should prepare for bizarre weather then. Ruby lifted her hood and gave a thumbs up. I'm all set. The rest of Team RWBY shook their heads and chuckled at their leader. Probably. Sasuke nodded. He looked around before he looked back at Kurama. So north then? I retract my previous accusation. You only want me to be your compass. Kurama chuckled and began to walk away. This way, Uchiha. I can get us to Ashbin's little relics with relative ease. Sasuke blinked for a moment before he followed his new partner. You do know you probably jinxed us, right? What's the worst that could happen? I take it back, now you jinxed us. Foolish fool. Ruby sighed. You never jinx up something easy, you would know. Oh, come on, Weiss, it was 1-2 times tops. It was 7. Yang smirked. Naruto let his hands rest behind his head as he walked through the forest without a care in the world. I wonder who the first person I run into will be. I could work with Kurama easily. His transfer and my will of fire would be unstoppable. However, on the off chance that I don't run into him before someone else does, I need to keep thinking about my options. Naruto missed the snarl that came from behind him and the consequential leap that a shadowy figure made at him. It stopped and fell midair as a large glowing needle stuck from the side of its neck. Is he really that lacking of his surroundings? Weiss asked. While he is walking armor, so Pyrrha held up her hands haplessly. That is so unfair, John mumbled. He wished he didn't have to worry about getting wailed on. Sasuke wouldn't be that bad. He could cover my distance problem. But he likes to be close up too. Not to mention he's an asshole like 80% of the time. Another shadowy figure tried to pounce on Naruto, but like the last, a glowing needle to the head took it out. Okay, who's doing that? Weiss frowned. Who used needles? Maybe it's the girly boy. Ruby suggested. Haku? I don't see him as a needle guy. Yang tilted her head. Yeah, then kind of guy is he? Ruby asked. Her sister shrugged. Bazooka? No. Blake bluntly said. Meh, just my opinion. The blonde bombshell shrugged. Oh, what if I run into Yang? She'd be fun to team with. Plus, we could plan pranks together, and more, much more. Yang rubbed her hands together. Like making the grim with two backs. Yang! Blake, Pyrrha and Weiss chided the blonde while Ruby furrowed her brows. I don't get it. Yet another figure tried to surprise attack the blonde, only to be felled by yet another needle. Then there's her sister Ruby. She's cute, but she seems to have some confidence issues. Not to mention she's a bit on the short side. That's gotta be it. Yeah, sure. Ruby dryly said, and I'm not short. Yeah, you're just fun-sized. Weiss smirked, getting a pink-faced Ruby as her reward. A figure fell to a needle. Or femme Sasuke, yeah, probably not. She's probably as antisocial as Sasuke used to be, Blake simmered. Needle to monster neck. How is he missing this? Weiss tossed her hands up. Is he that blind? Really? John, no. Any guy that can't keep his stomach calm or wears footy pajamas I can't partner with. Even I'm not cool enough to cover for him. Going to need some aloe for that. John painfully confessed. Pyrrha patted him on the shoulder. Another needle embedded itself in another shadow. There's Pyrrha. She's hot, strong, confident, and not to mention she has red hair. Always a plus in my book. Pyrrha blushed pink at this. Once again, that straightforwardness of his caught him off guard. I wonder what type of fighter she is though. A bear-like shadow fell to the mysterious needle. Like the others before it, it turned into a shadowy wisp before it faded away to nothing. At least I know one thing. Naruto stopped walking and crossed his arms over his chest as he closed his eyes and thought. I don't want that sneeze girl as my partner. The feeling is mutual, you dim cur. Weiss huffed. He opened his eyes and turned around when a rabbit hopped out of a bush. Naruto chuckled and rubbed his neck. Man, I must be tense. Freaking out over a rabbit, Naruto tensed and brought his fist up as something dropped from the treetops. He relaxed when he saw it was the girl from before, who had started on the cliff on his left. She looked up at him with a small smile. It seems that we are partners. She gave a slight bow. I hope I don't let you down. Naruto scratched the back of his head. Don't worry about it, partner. I am Hakayuki. The girl offered her hand. Naruto took it in his own and gave her a firm shake. Naruto Uzumaki, he replied with a grin. He retracted his hand and intertwined it with the other behind his head. Man, Sasuke and Kurama are gonna be so jealous that my partner is a babe. And here it comes, 3, 2 Yan counted off. Haku twitched for a moment, and then shuddered. Naruto stared at her for a moment before she relaxed and smiled at him. 1. Actually, I'm a boy. There was nothing but silence. Seriously? Yes. Ha, you're one pretty boy, Haku. And he is completely at peace with his sexuality, saying that. Though rare, it's always nice to see in a guy. Yan nodded sagely. So I've been told. Another moment of silence passed. So do you know which way north is? Haku nodded and pointed to his left. This way. Cool. You want to lead or should I? You don't seem to take too much damage. It would only make sense for you to take the lead. He is the perfect meat shield. Weiss smirked haughtily. I'll bet. Look at them buns of steel. Yan declared. Yang, so you want to use me as a human shield? Haku laughed lightly. A crude, but an unfortunately accurate simile. Naruto let out his own chuckle as he started to lead the way. It's fine. Gotta protect that pretty face of yours. I know how it is. I'll be getting a lot of flack for my appearance, won't I? He has no idea, John said. It was criminal to look that good after all. He would know. Naruto let out another chuckle. Oh, you have no idea. Per pretty boy, Nora giggled. Hey. You too. Wait up. Kurama and Sasuke stopped and turned around as 2 teens burst through the brush on their right. The first was a tall, broad-shouldered teen with burnt orange hair and clad in gray and gold-trimmed armor. The other was a teen more around their height with a mohawk of green hair and a shaved head. Oh boy, them, John drawled. Blake smirked. I think I know what's going to happen. Oh? Do tell. Weiss asked. Nope, just wait and see. The Faunus grinned, hopeful of the coming scene. You guys seem to know where you're going, the armor teen said as he brought out a large mace. Maybe we should stick together. There is safety in numbers, Sasuke said after a moment. Kurama tilted his head in thought while his tail loosened for the briefest of moments. Perhaps. Dude, your belt's falling off. The other teen pointed at Kurama's waist. Mind of its own, I swear, Kurama said after he looked down and chuckled. He allowed his tail to fully unwind and looked at the two. I hope you don't mind. Wow, you poor bastard. The tall teen looked at Sasuke. Got partnered with an animal, huh? Oh yeah, this is going to be good. Blake said, a vicious smile on her face. Yang, Blake is scaring me. Ruby whispered to her sister. I know. It's awesome, Yang smiled. It was nice to see her partner display such emotion so openly. That's gotta suck. Has he stopped to mark his territory? The other asked with a chuckle. Whatever pleasant thoughts that either Sasuke or Kurama may have had about their 2 new companions vanished without any chance of return. Sasuke looked between the two before he looked back at Kurama. Would you like the honors? I've already started. Kurama growled. Sasuke nodded and looked at the confused duo. May I have your names? Yeah, I'm Carden Winchester, and this is my partner, Russell Thrush. The tall teen, Carden, introduced himself. Why? Sasuke smiled lightly. I wish to know the names I'll have to write down for the search party. Carden frowned. What's that supposed to dash? Hey, Carden, I don't feel so hot, Russell groaned as he stumbled back. His skin had lost some color, and he slumped against a tree. I think I'm gonna sit down for a bye. Russell conked out mid-word and fell to the ground. Carden looked at his fallen partner with worry and then looked at the other two. Hey, what just happened? His eyes started to droop. Why is everything getting fuzzy? Don't worry about it, Carden Winchester. Kurama walked over to the taller boy and pressed the ring of his staff against the teen's head. You'll only sleep for an hour or so. Whether or not you become a Grimm's meal is not my concern. He's draining and leaving them? John gulped. Okay, I don't like Carden, but that was a bit much, right? It's fitting. Blake retorted. It's a bit ruthless. Pyrrha confessed. It's ballsy. Yang countered. It's arrogant. Weiss huffed. It's pancakes. Nora declared. Well, you heard it here. It's officially pancakes. Your argument is invalid. Rin said to John, who laughed. Before Carden could reply, Kurama pushed him back with his staff, and the knight-like teen fell to the forest floor, just as unconscious as his partner. Sasuke stared at the downed duo for a moment before he looked at his partner. You alright? Kurama sighed. It's times like this I wish more idiots were like Naruto. That's a terrifying thought. I know. If only more people could be like that. Blake admitted. So optimistic and open about stuff, not afraid to speak their true feelings so freely in a judgmental world. Naruto stopped and held a hand up. Did you hear that? Haku nodded. It sounded like a girl was in trouble. I think that was a girl, Naruto mused with a smirk. But I could be wrong. Haku sighed. I cannot help that my genetics made me appear more feminine than masculine, Naruto. I know, I just like ragging on you. Naruto grinned. He turned around and began to walk backwards. You know, I got a good feeling about all this. You've got the needle gun, Snowfall. Haku corrected with a light smile as he looked down at his unique weapon. Dust crystals were shaped into needlepoints that protruded from the back and made reloading and keeping track of his ammo simple. Blake smirked while Yang whined. Fine, you were right. I was wrong, the blonde said sourly. Good girl. Do I get a treat? No. Ah, you tease. Shut up, Yang. Right, that. While I have my badass Stormbreakers to take something out up close. Naruto beamed as he looked at his gauntlet-covered hands. We're like a perfect yin-yang combo. You're all cool, quiet, and distant while I'm more in your face, loud and awesome. Haku smiled a bit more before he stopped walking and gained a concerned look. Naruto? I mean, even I know I can be loud, but I can't help it. It's way too fun to be loud. Naruto laughed as he continued to walk backwards. Not to mention I love being in the spotlight. Heck, if this huntsman thing doesn't work out, I'm fully prepared to break off into a rock band or something. I'd groupie to that band, Yon laughed. She beamed widely. He just keeps speaking my language again and again. Haki gained a strained smile. Yes, that's nice, but Naruto? Doubt that'll happen though, because once I start something, I never give it up. You can count on that, because if there's one thing Naruto Uzumaki doesn't do, is give up. Naruto grinned before he stopped walking and frowned. Hey, what's up? Why'd you stop walking, Haku? Because of that. Haku pointed behind Naruto. Naruto turned around and stared into soulless red eyes, most notably seen on a Grim. He took a second to realize that he was in fact face to snout with a large bull-like Grim. The white bony mask and armor that protected the creature's hide and head were littered with scars, at least 100 in total. 2 sharp horns protruded out of either side of the Grim's head, both long enough to easily skewer 3 people each and still have room for more. The ancient Grim snorted and the foul breath blew right into Naruto's face. Oh crap baskets. Run you handsome idiot. Yang yelled at the screen. It was too early for her potential love interest to die. She gasped when the credits and song began to roll. What? No, wow, cliffhanger second episode in. That's kind of arrogant, isn't it? John asked. Blake shook her head. It's like a book. Each episode is a different chapter, so ending it on a cliffhanger will make you want to keep reading, or in our case, watching. Next one, next one. Yang urged as she shook her sister, who'd taken the remote. Hurry, Ruby, hurry. I can't do anything when you're shaking me. Weiss rolled her eyes. And you said I was unbearable with anatomy. Well, we are in this show, Ren pointed out. Details? Come on, skip the recap. Yang tapped her foot impatiently. She groaned when the title intro began. Ruby, no. It's catchy. Ruby huffed with a grin. John nodded in agreement from where he sat. You're only saying that because it's got the word rose in the lyrics. Yang argued. I wield the remote. I wield the power. Ruby stuck her tongue out childishly, which made Yang's eye twitch. Just settle down, Yang. Blake put a hand on the blonde's arm before she tried to tackle. Her partner sent her an annoyed look. If son dash, how many times do I have to say this? Blake cut her off curtly. We are not an item yet, Nora sang from the side. Blake glared at her, and she giggled. Thank you? Yan nodded in appreciation before she sent her partner a look. See? Nora agrees with me. You're still acting up over a fictional character, Weiss said dryly. Says the one that gasped in horror and cried real tears when Dr. Drake was hit by a bus. That came out of nowhere. It was an emotional roller coaster that whole episode, and then he just suddenly died. He wasn't even that cute. He was adorable. If I may interrupt? Pyrrha asked with a nervous smile as she intervened in the argument between the most temperamental friends she had. She pointed at the screen, where the title remained. The intro's over. Ah, I missed it. Ruby pouted. She so had to download that song. It seems we're not the first ones here, Sasuke said dryly. Yan let out a frustrated groan that made her teammates' eyes roll. As he took note of the girl that Naruto and Kurama had deemed his female self, she was not alone. As with her was the blonde bombshell that made every internal Naruto sense go off. Well, at least we're dealing with something interesting in this first scene, Yang mumbled since she was back on screen. Feel better? Blake asked. Not really. Wait, if I'm the femme Naruto, Yang pointed at herself and then to Blake. And you're the femme Sasuke. Don't call me that. Does that mean we should double date? Or are we a pairing? Since you know, Kurama said there was a rumor about them? Yang disheveled her hair as she scratched her head. Gah, this is so confusing. Only because you're making it so. Blake rolled her eyes. I had to backtrack at least 2 miles to find you. Of course we're not going to be the first ones here. Kurama rolled his eyes and nodded to the girls. Ladies, a pleasure. No, it is not. Sasuke shook his head. Kurama gave his partner a confused look. Why not? Hey, you're the handsome guy that hung out with Whisker Boy, Yang said with a grin as she pointed at Sasuke. She gave him a flirtatious wink. You rethink my offer of having a Yang threesome? Yang, stop bother you from being so gross. Ruby whined. Yang shrugged and smirked as she crossed her arms. You guys need to deal with crude humor, she said. And your puns? Hey, those are fantastic, thank you. Kurama looked horrified. Oh dear, cheese, just like him, I know. Sasuke cut Kurama off. He put a hand on his glasses-wearing friend's shoulder. Give yourself a minute to come to terms with it. Kurama braced himself on his knee and with his staff as he shuddered. Oh merciful why do you hate me, drama queens? The busted brawler rolled her lilac eyes. The others, save for Nora, gave her quick looks of disbelief as the same word ran through their heads. Hypocrite. I asked myself that too, Sasuke said with a nod. I mean, a female Sasuke I could handle. Hell, it was almost welcomed. Sasuke glowered at his partner, while Blake pinched the bridge of her nose. Kurama continued despite this and pointed a shaky finger at Yang. But that's too much. The only way this could get any worse is if we ran into my female self. He rubbed his face and sighed. Thankfully, the chances of that are slim to none. I don't know. I think that'd be pretty interesting. John confessed. He chuckled slightly. And funny. It would also be funny. Sasuke shook his head. My partner the only idiot who doesn't know when not to say those accursed words or something like that. I should have tried to find Naruto, he wouldn't have jinxed me. Hey, I did not jinx us. Kurama snapped back with a frown. He gestured to the area. Look around you. I got us to the relics without any grim interference. There was a crash and a boom by the edge of the forest. Sasuke and Kurama looked towards the sound before Sasuke looked at his partner. You were saying? That could have been anything. Kurama quickly replied. Like Naruto? Nora asked, but tilted her head. Or me, could very well be me. It might be. Ren sighed, his head down. He did not want to relive that ride. He tightened his grip on his staff and frowned as he looked back towards the unknown source of the crashing. But maybe you should grab a relic just to be safe. Sasuke nodded and rushed over to a golden bishop, which he snatched off of the pedestal. He paused as he noted the other golden bishop remained as well and looked at the rest of the relics. The black and gold pieces were all in pairs, save for the respective king and queen of either set. If I'm right, then the teachers will bunch together the teams by the chess pieces. And there's already more than a few pairs that are gone. Sasuke narrowed his eyes. With a quick thought, he snatched the other golden bishop, with plans to give it to his other friend just to be safe. Incoming. The warning came from Blake, and Sasuke followed her gaze upwards towards the descending girl in red. Yang narrowed her eyes. Is that RWBY? Heads up. The falling RWBY was blindsided by a blur of multiple colors and sent to the woods. The scene paused, rewound, and played in slow motion before continuing at its normal setting. It's me. John looked at his screaming face. Not your best moment, John, Pyrrha said with an awkward smile. Those are rare, John said freely. He knew he had bad luck and was starting to come to terms with it. Kurama scratched his head. I think that was John. There was another crash and a masked bear-like grim, known as an Ursa, broke through the forest on their right. It reared onto its hind legs before it fell forward with a death rattle. On its back was a girl that made Sasuke freeze. Oh no, he groaned. Nora, unaware of the mental pain she'd unintentionally caused, looked down at the deceased Ursa with a frown. It's broken. Kurama looked at his partner with an arched brow. Friend of yours? Do you remember when we agreed that there was no one more insufferable than Naruto on a sugar high? Yes? We were wrong. Sasuke gained a faraway look in his eye. Horribly, horribly wrong. Ren doesn't let me have sugar, besides syrup. Nora pouted. Ren had a haunted look in his eyes when his teammates looked at him. You're better off not knowing, he said after a moment. I'm starting to regret coming to Beacon. Kurama mumbled under his breath. So am I. Sasuke nodded slowly as Nora rushed by him without acknowledging his presence, something he thanked the heavens for vigorously. There was another crash to their left, and a massive scorpion-like grim with a white mask and golden stinger broke through the woods with Pyrrha running right in front of it. Did she just run through the forest with a Death Stalker behind her? Blake asked incredulously, really starting to regret coming to Beacon. Kurama amended his previous statement. Sasuke sighed. We should get paid for coming here, not the other way around. I'm behind that, like, 110%. Yang smiled and rubbed her hands together. We could do so much shopping with that, plus all the shenanigans we go through to boot. It would be nice, Blake hummed thoughtfully. She smiled at the amount of tuna noodle bowls she could get at the Simple Walk. Think of the ammo and mods we could buy. RWBY sighed with a dreamy grin on her face. As if things couldn't get worse for the gathered teens, another grim burst through the forest, but this one had 2 students with it instead of just one. In front of the bull-like creature, a familiar blonde had his feet planted firmly in the ground, while he struggled to keep the bull from flinging him off of its face. He's holding it back. Weiss said in disbelief. That was absurd strength. Yan sighed in relief before she slumped back in her seat and grinned. I knew he'd be fine. Sure you did. Haku. Find that damn weak spot already. Naruto yelled to his partner, who was on the Grim's back and trying to find a weak point to capitalize on. The back and sides are too heavily armored. Haku shouted back. He did a double take and widened his eyes when he saw that the other teens were in their path. He grew worried when none tried to move. Naruto. Behind you. Naruto cracked open an eye and looked over the gaping group. His eyes landed on one figure in particular, and a grin spread across his face. Kurama. Transfer. Now, oh, so this is what those two meant. RWBY figured, but curious to see what chaos could happen if the two had partnered up. Kurama snapped out of his stupor, and he reached out towards his blonde friend. His red aura shone brightly before a bright stream shot out from Kurama's palm and collided with Naruto's back. Naruto's skin gained a reddish hue as Kurama's aura mixed with his own, but the other effect of the transfer slowed the Grimm's charge to a near halt as Naruto's strength doubled. Sasuke, think you can stun it long enough so that we can get away? Naruto asked with a glance over his shoulder. Sasuke nodded and released his hold on his sword. He held his hands up and closed his eyes as his black aura flared to life. Static started to jump around his hands for the briefest of seconds before clouds began to form overhead. He has weather powers? Come on, these guys are monsters. John gaped at the sight. He clasped his hands together. Please let Haku be normal, please. John, when has that sort of thing ever worked for you? Ren pointed out. Let me have this one. Alright, if you say so. Ren shrugged. Sasuke, hurry up and bring the rain. Naruto ordered. Haku, get ready to move. Sasuke's eyes snapped open and he threw his hands down, just as a massive bolt of lightning descended from the sky onto the bull-like Grim. Before the lightning connected, the two partners currently engaging the Grim leapt away and landed in front of Kurama and Sasuke. The monster released a roar of pain as it was electrocuted before it slumped to the ground, smoking. Sasuke panted and the sky started to clear up, while Naruto whooped. That's awesome. RWBY surmised everyone's thoughts while the others nodded in agreement. Yeah. Who are the best huntsmen? We are. Booyah. Correct me if I'm wrong, Naruto, but I think your celebrating is a bit too early, Haku said. Naruto gave him a confused look and Haku pointed up. We have another problem. Naruto looked up and grimaced as he saw a Nevermore. He frowned and squinted his eyes. Wait, is that the sneeze girl? Is it wrong that I hope she falls? Kurama asked. Yes. Weiss glared at the faunus on screen. Not really. Naruto, Sasuke and Blake replied. Yes. Haku and the others said, thank you majority. Weiss nodded firmly and glared at Blake. Traitor. The faunus looked back at her with a mischievous smile. Kurama shrugged the opinions of the majority off. My opinion matters more to me than yours. Yang. The gathered teens looked to the side as RWBY jumped towards them from the tree. Her silver eyes locked on her sister. RWBY! Yang beamed and held her arms out to catch the younger girl. Nora! The eccentric orange-haired girl cheered as she popped up between the two sisters before they could be properly reunited. Naruto snickered. I like her, so in sync. Nora nodded, her tone in a whisper. Ren felt another chill down his spine. Down, boy. Kurama ordered. He looked to the other side at the sound of a loud smack. Incoming redhead, 3 o'clock. I got this one! Naruto proclaimed as he stepped forward and held his arms out. He caught Pyrrha as she collided with his side and he gave her a cheesy grin. Long time no see, Pyrrha. You don't call, it's why I'm starting to think you don't like me. And he's so smooth. John frowned. Why can't I be like that? Pyrrha smiled back at him as she stood up on her feet. Thank you, Naruto, don't mention it. Naruto waved off with a smile. I'd catch any pretty girl that was sent flying by a Deathstalker's claw. Oh good, we're all here, now we can die together. Yang cheerfully threw in while Pyrrha flushed at the compliment. Help! The group looked up again at Weiss' cry. Naruto crossed his arms over his chest. You know, I think she's going to fall. She'll be fine. Kurama waved off his concern. She's falling. Rin and Sasuke pointed out. Think we'll get a reward for digging her mangled corpse a grave? Kurama asked. I do not like him. At all. Weiss glowered and flexed her hands as if she was strangling someone. She didn't notice RWBY scoot away slightly. This is priceless. Yang whispered to Blake. Weiss is losing it over some fictional character. It's better than her boy drama. You were shaking RWBY over the cliffhanger. That's different. I'm part of an OTP. How often can you say that? Yang waved off Blake's comparison. Dude, that was too dark. Naruto reprimanded his friend. Okay, so he has some redeeming qualities. The Shinii heiress grudgingly admitted. See? Not enough for me to help you snag him. Weiss used finger quotes on the word snag. Kurama snorted and rested Rikudo against his shoulder. Says you? No, I must agree with Naruto, Haku said. Even for a family with a reputation like the Shinii, you should show kindness in situations like this. Kurama huffed and watched as John leapt from the trees towards her. Oh look, PJ is playing hero. They grow up so fast, Naruto said as he wiped a fake tear away from his eye. So, how's he going to protect them on the way down? Think his semblance is something like a, I dunno, shield? Maybe it gives him the mad hops. Pyrrha grimaced as she watched John and Weiss fall. I don't know if John knows what a semblance is, let alone what his may be. This is extremely true. John nodded. You're kidding me. Sasuke blanched. He looked at Naruto, and then up at the descending duo. Wow, there's a blonde guy that's dumber than Naruto. I never thought I'd see the day. What's that supposed to mean, jackass? Yeah? John agreed with a scowl. Naruto sounds way dumber than me, yet he's the one with the smooth lines for Pyrrha and you've made Weiss blush how many times? Yang countered. Don't defend your imaginary boyfriend. I rest my case. You know, Naruto, if you moved fast enough I think you could, never mind. Haku winced as John hit the ground with a loud smack and Weiss fell directly on his spine. Oh, he's going to need medical attention. Good thing we have a great medical staff. John sighed. It was a relief on his poor abused body. My hero. My back. Naruto chuckled and then cracked his knuckles. Well, I guess we should probably do something about the Nevermore and the Deathstalker. Dibs on the flying one. Hey! That's ours! Ruby shook her fist in righteous anger. She pouted. Why wasn't her other calling dibs? I need at least another 5 minutes before I can use Kirin all out again. Sasuke noted as he looked at his sparking hand. He snapped his fingers and pulled out a golden bishop. Sasuke tossed the relic to his friend. Here, I figured you'd forget to snatch it if someone didn't grab it for you. Oh, right. Relics. Naruto hummed as he looked it over. What do you think it is? Haku chuckled. That's a bishop from a chess set, Naruto. Oh, I knew that. This is all fine and dandy, Kurama said as he twisted Rikudo's pole and it shifted into a rifle form. Kurama started to fire off shots at the approaching Deathstalker. But we have bigger problems to worry about than whether or not the idiot can identify a chess piece. I got it. Ruby cried out as she rushed forward. No, I don't. Ruby hung her head. Ruby, wait. Yang reached out as if to grab the girl and sighed. Crap, not one for plans is she? Naruto asked. He looked over and paled as he saw his monstrous grim start to stir. Haku the bull is getting up. Oh, crap baskets. Haku grimaced and prepared snowfall. Huh, so you say that too? I thought Naruto was the only one, Kurama mused. He looked at Sasuke. I hope they aren't too much alike, right? Sasuke? Sasuke was staring at Haku with a small pink hue in his cheeks. Oh yeah? Mama loves that sweet boy-on-boy love. Yang catcalled with a large grin on her face. It's going to be so awkward for him. John said with a sigh, but he was cackling inwardly. It was going to be hilarious, and to think, he wasn't going to be at the butt of the joke. Oh Uchiha! Gawk later, snap out of it. Kurama barked as he slapped the boy upside the head. He ignored the glare he received for the action and pointed at the grim bull. We got bigger problems than your confused sexual identity. Sasuke glared at his partner. I do not have a confused identity, you will later. Yang sniggered. Yang, be nice. Blake drawled out. No promises. Ignoring his two friends, Naruto let his semblance rise slightly until his skin began to glow lowly, and brought his fists up. Alright, round 2 big guy, and this time, I'm charging at you. Wait. It's not up yet, we should stay together as long as there's no immediate threat. Haku suggested. Pira nodded. She's right. Our best hope is to band together against these beasts until we can make an escape. Oh, I feel bad now. Pira frowned. That must have been insulting. Naruto snickered and Haku sighed as the red-headed girl misidentified him. Kurama let a smirk cross his face, since he could smell the gender, and Sasuke nodded in agreement with Pira. He drew his sword, a curved Chinese saber, and spun it in his hand so it unfolded into a bow with a dust launcher attached to the string. I want to touch it, Ruby mumbled with a longing look. Do you think he used leather or a different texture to cover the grip? How do you think it latches? Ruby, your weapon lust is showing. Yang, Blake and Weiss pointed out dryly. Well, I thought we agreed not to call it that. We have more support roles here. We can hang back and take pot shots at them, Sasuke said. He looked at Nora and Rin. Do you two have distance weaponry? Yep, duck butt. Nora chirped as she pulled out a grenade launcher. She ignored the glare Sasuke gave her, as she patted the weapon lovingly. Manhild's ready to make things explode. Boom baby. Nora cackled out. Rin merely let bladed guns slide out from his sleeves and nodded. We can provide cover fire if necessary. I can as well, Pira said with her spear now in a rifle form similar to Rikudo's, but without the golden scope. I'm more attuned to close combat though. That's fine. Ruby! Yang's horrified cry cut Sasuke off and the group turned to take in the scenario. Apparently, the Nevermore had fired its feathers, each about as large as the average human, at the retreating scythe wielder. One feather snagged Ruby's red cloak and the others had trapped Yang. All the while, the Deathstalker approached Ruby with ill intent. Well, she's boned. Kurama deadpanned. Jerk! Ruby called out, Weiss nodding in agreement. Don't worry, I'll save you. The heiress smirked haughtily. You love seeing this again. Oh yes I do. He was thankfully proven wrong as a white blur shot past Yang and halted the Deathstalker's golden stinger and right claw. Kurama's eye twitched. She did that just to make me look like an ass. Most certainly, you ruffian. Weiss scowled at the character. Well, if there's one thing the intro theme got right, it was that Weiss and Kurama don't like each other, Blake said dryly. They gonna do the nasty. Yang, what? It's television logic. You just wait. It's all about you, isn't it? Sasuke asked as he watched Ruby and Weiss have a quick, heartfelt chat. Duh. Well, glad to see you two made up, Yang said as she, Ruby and Weiss rejoined the group. Those aren't the words I would use, but I suppose it's fine. Weiss muttered before she glared at Kurama, and he replied with a raised finger. Her attention went to the madly grinning Naruto, and her glare intensified. You, however, I still don't like. Naruto put his hands over his chest and gained a pained look. Oh, Ms. Sneeze, the wound goes deep. It's Schnee, how do you confuse it? Why, scarred, I twitched. At this point, I think he's doing it on purpose, Ren said. Is that supposed to make me feel better? No, just pointing it out. The bird thing is coming back. John pointed out nervously. He grimaced as the Deathstalker's trapped claw and stinger started to crack the ice. Oh man, how are we going to fight both of these things? Well, we don't have to fight, RWBY said. Naruto cupped his mouth. Boo. No one likes a quitter. I gotta go with him on this one. Yang agreed with Naruto. She had wanted to bust heads that day, but you're the one that gave the option of running, John pointed out. John, you still never made Weiss blush. Wow, come on, shut up. Sasuke and Kurama snapped at him as they smacked him upside the head. Gah. My brain. Anyway, the objective is right in front of us, right? RWBY gestured to the relics and grinned at the gathered teens. We just need to get the relics and go back to the cliff, don't we? Hey, yeah, that's right. John grinned. Grab the item and run to live another day? I can get behind that plan. Good plan, other me. John agreed greatly. That's exactly what you said verbatim. Pira smiled in amusement. I'd say it again in a heartbeat. But guys, think of the unsupervised violence. Naruto whined. He hung his head as everyone seemed to ignore him. You guys are no fun. Wet blankets, the lot of you. Well, besides Nora. Yang pointed to the orange-haired girl. Yay, violence! Nora cheered with a smile on her face. Haku smiled and patted his partner on the back. There, Naruto. I'm sure there'll be another chance for you two or bust some heads? Naruto sighed and grinned at his partner. Yeah, you're probably right, Haku. Man, you're the best partner a guy could ask for. John and RWBY rushed up to the platforms and grabbed their own relics before they regrouped and ran south towards the cliffs. Yang lingered behind for a second, which prompted Naruto and Blake to slow up. What is it? Blake asked her partner. Yang sent a meaningful glance to RWBY as she stopped and oversaw the group for a moment before she continued to lead the way. Naruto let a small laugh leave his mouth and intertwined his hands behind his head. This is one of those proud sibling moments, isn't it? It was, and it was nice. Yang reached over to ruffle RWBY's hair, much to her sister's embarrassment and dismay. Something like that, Whisker Boy. Yang chuckled and patted his shoulder. Come on, before they leave us behind. The group of 12 broke through the woods into some misty ruins. Sasuke, at the head of the rear, looked up as a shadow passed overhead. Scatter! He cried, and the massive group did so. RWBY, Yang, Blake and Weiss broke off to the right, and John, Pira, Rin and Nora went left while Sasuke, Kurama, Naruto and Haku ran straight ahead. The respective partners fell behind massive pillars in the area as the Nevermore perched on a tower not far ahead. The trees rustled and the Deathstalker burst through with a shrill cry. Oh man, run! John ordered as he led Pira deeper into the ruins. Nora, distract the bird, Rin said as he raced to regroup with the others. Come on, hurry up! Sasuke said as he started to fire dust arrows at the Deathstalker to slow its approach. We'll cover you! Kurama called to RWBY as he fired at the bird while Nora laughed, and did the same with her grenade launcher. The Nevermore let out an infuriated shriek before it swooped away to circle around. Bullet hell, anyone? Blake asked. It was like a dust storm of projectiles. Ooh, someone uses slugs. RWBY pointed out. Nora let out a cheerful laugh. Bye-bye, birdie. Birdie, no. RWBY, let it go already. Yang groaned. So you crashed through a bird. We get it. RWBY shuddered, the nightmares of its call. Stop telling us about them, Weiss drawled. Nora, heads up. Ren warned his partner, as he and Blake fended off the Deathstalker before it could blindside her. Sasuke ran towards them and added his own melee to the group as his bow shifted back into a Dao sword. The trees rustled again, and a loud bellow made Naruto look up. A wild grin crossed his face as his eyes landed on the charging Grim Bull. Oh yeah! Now it's round 2, ugly. Kurama, got it! Kurama put his hand on Naruto's shoulder and filled him with red aura. He took hip-fire shots with Rikudo's rifle mode at the charging bull until Naruto's skin and eyes had turned a bright red. That's all I can give you for now. You'd lose control if I gave you any more. So it has a limit based on the individual's limit? Interesting. Pira hummed with intrigue. It'll be enough. Haku, cover them and keep an eye out for that Nevermore. Naruto told his partner before he shot forward with a crazed laugh. Come on, big boy, let's rock this joint. Is he alright? RWBY asked as she helped perform cover fire with her rifle, while Yang went to join Nora in attacking the Deathstalker. This is what he lives for, Kurama said as he turned and fired at the approaching Nevermore. Anyone with good aim and long-distance focus on the Nevermore. Mid to close-range fighters, take the Deathstalker. Who put him in charge? Weiss frowned. He seems to know what he's doing. John stated. That's not the point. That scene is going to be hot. Yang mused quietly, getting a shove from her partner. What about the bull? Haku asked. There was a loud bang followed by a roar, and after that came another crazed laugh. Come on, you pansy! That the best you got? Let Naruto hold it off for now, Kurama said as he took aim at the Nevermore's wing. The massive bird-like Grim let out another angry shriek and fled once more. Kurama looked back and took in the situation with the Deathstalker. Sasuke! I don't think it's big enough to cross this bridge. Then we retreat to the tower. Sasuke called back. He shifted his sword back into a bow and began to retreat while he took shots at the scorpion like Grim. Fall back! Get to the tower! Go go go! Pyrrha ordered as she turned her spear into a rifle and joined Sasuke in providing cover fire. Man, our synergy is amazing. RWBY whistled. Fighting for one's life tends to do that. Pyrrha confessed. That or tension builds and we wouldn't have made it. Oh. Bummer. Now who talks like a surfer dude? Yang mocked her sister. Shut up, Yang. Yang, Blake, Wise and Nora ran past RWBY and Kurama with John not too far behind them. Haku and Rin stopped to provide some rapid-fire support to Sasuke and Pyrrha once they made it to the middle of the bridge. RWBY and Kurama were the last to start their approach to the bridge and barely made it before the claw of their current foes slammed into their previous location. The Deathstalker let out an infuriated shriek when it couldn't reach them. RWBY looked to their left as another shriek rang through the air and her eyes went wide. Nevermore, jump! Kurama cried out as the Nevermore flew low and took out a large portion of the stone bridge. Those that were crossing thankfully made it across without much trouble. John got up to his feet and went to the edge of the gap. He clenched his hand into a fist when he saw the Deathstalker approaching the four on the other side. We need to give them more support. Yes, we do. Kurama agreed as he looked past the Deathstalker and saw Naruto get knocked into the stone ruins by the Grim Bull. He scowled. Idiot needs to find the cap of his damn semblance before he gets himself killed. What are we waiting for? Let's go help them. Nora proclaimed. John shuffled uneasily for a moment. I don't think any of us could jump that far. John paled. Not again. Nora grinned at her team leader. We need to do that more often. No, probably not, but I know how a lever works, Kurama said as he looked to Nora. He grabbed John and dragged the blonde back with him before he gave the girl a thumbs up. Nora grinned at him and pulled Manghug from its place on the small of her back before it shifted into a large hammer that she lifted up over her head. No, this is a bad idea. Bad idea. Bad idea. John cried out as he saw Nora bring her hammer down. Listen to other me. Nope, having too much fun. Nora winked with a giggle. The portion of the bridge she struck sank downwards while the portion Kurama and John stood on shot into the air like when they were fired from the springboards they used earlier that morning. Nora laughed and stood on the head of Manghug and pulled a trigger that fired a grenade, which propelled her across the gap. She flipped over her friends and brought her hammer down right on the Deathstalker's head just as John landed in a heap beside Pyrrha and Kurama landed in a roll next to Sasuke. About time you got here, Sasuke said with a wry grin. He looked past the Deathstalker at the bull that was currently driving Naruto through all of the stone wall on the right of the valley. That idiot's going to get himself killed. Yep. Kurama agreed. He looked over at Pyrrha as Nora unleashed another grenade into the Deathstalker's face. Can you four handle this? Yep. Team GNPR answered with smiles, though John's was nervous. Pyrrha looked to Rin, who nodded, and then at John, who drew his sword and shakily did the same. She looked back with a small smile. We will take care of the Deathstalker. Go help Naruto. Don't have to tell us twice. Kurama grinned back as he and Sasuke ran past the Deathstalker on either side while Haku rushed forward and climbed up the stuck stinger. They bypassed the Deathstalker and ran towards the sounds of roars and bangs. As he approached the Grim Bull, with Naruto nowhere in sight, Haku flicked his wrist and Snowfall shifted from a gun into a whip, with the dust needles forming the tip. Okay, that's just really cool. RWBY said with stars in her silver eyes, clearly gushing over the whip mode, and used the weapon to grab hold of the Grim Bull's horn as it ran past. You're just going to get pulled back. Sasuke cried out. Haku gave him a smile and put his hand in the air. A second later and the air in front of his hand shimmered before it became a square ripple that solidified into a reflective glass. Haku vanished into the glass and his whip accompanied him. The whip went taut, and the Grim Bull's head jerked down onto the ground, which made a large trench as it did. What just happened? John asked. He teleported. Ren answered. I know that, but how? Semblance. Everyone else told him. Am I really the only one who doesn't understand them? John asked. Once you figure yours out, you'll get a better grasp on it, Pyrrha said with a smile. Kurama blinked at the sight and started when Haku stepped out of thin air next to him. How did you dash? My semblance, Haku said quickly as he twisted his wrist, and the whip unwound itself from the bull before it followed him through the glass and appeared beside him. Haku shifted Snowfall back into the gun form and looked at Kurama. I call it mirror. It allows me to travel quickly between short distances and avoid between time and space. Unfortunately, because of this passage, I cannot take another living person with me. That is really handy. Blake mused. It was simply awe-inspiring. Still, that's impressive. Kurama noted. He shifted Rikudo from the rifle form back into the staff and flicked his wrist. The blades that dangled from the ring of the staff went straight and aligned at the top to form a spear. The most I can do is take someone's aura and add it to my own or to another person's. Aura transfer. As well as a high aura sense. Is that why your eyes are always concealed? Haku asked. Kurama hesitated for a moment. Yes. Enough chatter. Where's the idiot? Sasuke asked as he joined his partner, and the pretty girl he met the night before. You thought you could keep me down, huh? Not so tough down here. A boisterous cry made the three look over towards the bull as Naruto charged at it. His grin was wild and crazed and his left fist was brought back behind his head. The punch was unleashed at the bull's chin and the massive grim flew back a couple yards. Naruto didn't let up and continued to assault the grim with a cackle of glee crossed with one of insanity. Yang pursed her lips. That's an odd mix of being really messed up and really, really hot. Yang, can you not ogle the fictional character for 5 seconds? Weiss asked with a huff. I promise nothing, Kurama sighed. This is why I'm glad I became your partner, Sasuke. He can't handle my faunus aura as well as you can. Speaking of, think you can give me a charge to boost Kirin? Sasuke asked. Kurama nodded and placed his hand on Sasuke's shoulder. He looked at Haku as he transferred his aura to his partner. Help the idiot while we prepare to take the grim down, will you? Haku gave a nod and a small smile. Of course, he is my partner. Good on you. Kurama grinned back as the feminine boy slipped into another one of his mirrors. Kurama looked at Sasuke, whose eyes were shut and a small flush had painted itself across his face. Kurama's grin turned into a smirk. Well, it seems that someone has a bit of a crush on the new member of our little group. Kurama, shut up. Sasuke snapped with a frown. He turned his head away slightly. Besides, you saw her. She's gorgeous. It's true his skin is so silky looking. Weiss frowned. She was almost jealous. Kurama's smirk widened. Sasuke thought Haku was a girl? Oh, he was so going to milk this for all that it was worth. Now all he had to do, aside from survive the monster grim attacks, was ensure that neither Naruto nor Haku himself ruined this for him. Keeping this thought in mind, Kurama only said one more thing to his partner. Well, at least I can tell Naruto that you're definitely over the librarian fetish. I never had a damn fetish. Please, we all have a fetish. Yang scoffed. Yeah, yours is blonde boys with whiskers on their cheeks who don't exist, Blake said with a smirk. And you like blonde boys with abs of steel. I hate you. Love you too, Blake. Up. Up. Down. Down. Left. Right. Left. Right. Backhand. Hey, I know that combo. John smiled. Best video game combo ever. And hammer shot. Naruto cackled as he finished off his 10-punch combo with a double-fisted hammer punch to the grim bull's snout. The grim flew back and collapsed the remains of the stone wall while Naruto laughed. Eat that bitch. I call it the Konami combo. Now that just makes me want to game with him. John mused. Maybe your other will, John. Pira smiled a little. A hand gently placed itself on Naruto's shoulder, and the red-eyed blonde turned to face the owner of said hand. Haku nodded towards the other two boys and then looked up as clouds formed overhead. I think we should probably fall back, Naruto. Naruto let out a whine as he looked from Haku to the slowly rising grim bull and back. But I'm winning. Ugh, he sounds like such a child. Weiss huffed. That's the charm of the idiot type. Blake pointed out. Hey, my other spotted him first. Yang warned her partner. He's not my type. Yet you and Sun seem very close, Weiss said. Sun's not. Oh, not you too. Blake groaned. Yang patted her shoulder. It's okay, Blake. Our blonde childish boys are sexy and they know it. Just stop. It would seem that way, but if you haven't noticed, none of your attacks have left any real damage to the Grim's body. Haku pointed out. They looked back as a loud bang echoed around the valley. The tower started to collapse after the Nevermore had flown through it, and the Deathstalker seemed to have the upper hand against the four that faced it. Not to mention, we could help out the others if we finish one off. Yeah, you're right, we should finish this. Naruto sighed as his eyes reverted back to a calm ocean blue. His skin lost the red sheen and once more gained a bright golden glow as he faced the rising Grim Bull. Naruto looked at Haku and arched a brow. If I can get it to expose its stomach, can you pin it down with that whip thing? Easily, I just need a clear path through its legs, Haku said with a nod. Naruto slammed his fists together, and his gauntlets whirred as two barrels popped up on the back of his fists. Alright. Let's end this already with a big bang. Sort of attack? Ruby asked. That's a terrible name for an attack. Weiss frowned. You're more on the ball than this. Ruby just shrugged. She was having an off day. He charged forward just as the Grim Bull stepped out of the rubble his last attack caused. Naruto threw his left hand behind him and tightened his fist as a shot fired from the barrel on his hand. The gunshot propelled him through the air to close the gap between him and the Grim, but before he could impact with its face, Naruto spun so that he would slide on his back under the Grim Bull's head. Eat this, you overgrown piece of steak. Naruto's right fist flew forward and collided with the Grim's shadowy skin before the barrel on the back of his hand unleashed a large blast into the Grim. Yang nearly swooned at the sight and a grin spread across her face. I love a man with a nice set of gauntlets. Your father wouldn't happen to have a weapon fetish too, would he? Weiss asked warily. Don't get your hopes up. He sent their dog in the mail, remember? Blake reminded. I fear so much right now. The Grim Bull reared back and was toppled as Haku used his semblance to quickly disappear through several of his mirrors. With Snowfall in its whip mode, Haku was able to form a tight binding that kept the Grim Bull's underbelly exposed. A final ripple appeared next to Naruto, who grabbed the outstretched hand of his partner to pull him through and keep the whip taut. Sasuke, they've got it! Kurama announced as his aura mixed with Sasuke's and the latter threw his hands towards the darkened sky. Sasuke's now red eyes snapped open and he threw his hands down with a yell as a massive bolt of lightning, 3 times that of the last one that struck the Grim Bull, descended from the heavens. The Grim Bull, unable to move due to the binds, let out a bellow before the lightning bolt struck it. The monster was electrocuted to black wisps just as RWBY managed to decapitate the Nevermore and the Deathstalker's impaled body fell into the abyss below the collapsed tower. Wow, we are so coordinated. Seriously, we did it all at once, that's awesome. John cheered. We tried to be. RWBY smiled as well. Haku twisted his wrist and Snowfall returned to its gun mode while Naruto let out a triumphant cry as he threw his fists into the air. Ah yeah! Now that's what I'm talking about. Naruto exclaimed joyfully before he threw his arm around Haku's neck in a hug. We charbroiled that thing, indeed we did. Haku let a chuckle escape him while he slumped to the ground in mild exhaustion. I don't remember the last time I've made so many mirrors. That was cool too. I was right, you're an awesome partner. Naruto laughed as he waved at the others as they started to return their trek back towards Beacon. Yo, who else wants to go find another Grim? He's insane. Weiss remarked, making Yang laugh. That's the fun thing about him. She said, plus, sanity is overrated. Nora declared. And you know what they say about the crazy ones. Yang, why you fiend? Weiss chided her teammate with a red face while the other girls, save Nora and RWBY, did no better. Nora cackled while Rin and John smirked or snickered at the girls' red faces. I don't get it. RWBY frowned. What do they say about the crazy ones? I'll tell you when you're older, Rubes. No. The other 10 yelled back at him. You guys are lame. Carden Winchester, Dove Bronzewing, Russell Thrush and Skylark. You retrieved the black bishop pieces and from this day forward, you 4 will work together as Team CRDL, Cardinal, lead by Carden Winchester. Ajban's voice echoed through the auditorium as the teams for the first-year students were announced. From the side behind their 8 other friends, Naruto and Haku clapped politely while Sasuke and Kurama glared or sneered at the 2 they had encountered in the forest. Boo, you stink! John jeered. I was really hoping those guys would get eaten. Kurama muttered to his partner. We all wish. Blake said with her yellow eyes narrowed. Sasuke nodded. As was I. John Ark, Lyrin, Piran Nikos and Nora Valkyrie. Ajban nodded as the 4 in question stepped forward while the applause died down. The 4 of you retrieved the white rook pieces. Naruto frowned. But I thought they were gold. You know, I was wondering that too. John agreed. Shush, Naruto. Haku nudged his partner with a small smile on his face as Ajban continued. The 4 of you will work together as Team JNPR, Juniper, Ajban said. His next words made a few in the group of 12 blink in surprise or cheer, as Naruto did, led by John Ark. Yeah. Go PJ! Kurama hooped from his place on the wall while Naruto whistled loudly as the boys stuttered in surprise. They laughed with many others as Pira's congratulatory shoulder punch knocked him to the ground. The room quieted once more as the 4 girls walked onto the stage, save for a few catcalls. Yan ate it up and gave a wave to the room, winking at Naruto when he gave his own whistle. Blake Belladonna, RWBY Rose, Weiss Schnee, and Yan Xiaolong, the 4 of you retrieved the white knight pieces. From this day forward you will work together as Team RWBY, RWBY. Ajban let a small smile cross his face as he looked at the youngest of the 4 girls. Led by RWBY Rose. So proud. Young heir. RWBY wheezed out from the tight hug. I'm not sorry. Good job, RWBY. Haku nodded in approval next to Sasuke. Yeah. Go RWBY. Naruto cheered while Kurama gave a whistle and clapped. RWBY was gobsmacked while her sister engulfed her in a hug. She could hardly talk as they walked off stage and Naruto led his merry band of 4 up. And finally, Kurama Otsutsuki, Naruto Uzumaki, Uchiha Sasuke, and Haki Yuki. You 4 retrieved the white bishop pieces. They were gold. Naruto cut in, which caused him to get elbowed by his partner. Ow, I really wanted to ask him about it, but on stage was a bit much. John confessed, rubbing his arm. Luckily, Ajban continued without taking notice of his interjection. And from henceforth you shall be known as Team NHKS, Nox, led by Naruto Uzumaki. Like the bank? RWBY asked. No, like the mall. Weiss rolled her eyes at her partner. Whoa, there's a bank mall? Weiss palmed her face. RWBY was so doing this on purpose. Yes. Eat that, Khan Academy. Who's most likely to end up in jail, or eaten by a Grim now? Naruto cheered with a wide grin as the room applauded for him. He brought Haku into a one-armed hug and lightly punched his shoulder. It's official, we're going to be the greatest team on Remnant. Doubt it. The other teams disagreed. It wasn't done with malice, but their pride was the thing mostly talking. Haku chuckled and patted his partner's arm. If you say so, Naruto. But please loosen your grip. Kurama chuckled while Sasuke sighed. We're never going to get hired after our first job. Probably not, Kurama said with a smile. But it's sure as hell going to be 4 fun years. That's if our leader doesn't get us expelled. What's the worst that could happen? He's a real glutton for punishment. Blake said with a small smile, more like an egotistical oath. Weiss huffed. Wow, you want that foxy boy bad. Shut up, Yan. Alright, out of the forest, and into the classroom. John cheered. He hung his head and frowned. Man, I'd rather be back in the forest. My grades suck. I keep telling you that you've gotta eat Ren's pancakes in the morning, John, Nora said with a wag of her finger. Most pretty so beautiful yes, lovelies. I love you all even you. Naruto had a silly grin on his face as he slept in his assigned bed. The grin widened as he snuggled into his bed with his arms wrapped around his pillow. There was a small puddle of drool next to his face. Well, he must be having one heck of a dream. Yang laughed. Ugh, that's disgusting. Weiss frowned. I love you all my wonderful luscious well-rounded smoking hot. Ooh harem party. Yang, shut up. Ruby groaned and covered her ears. Giant big squeezable noodles. Blake smirked at her partner. Yes, that's one dirty dream, isn't it, Yang? Yang rolled her eyes and refused to take the bait. She failed to hide her disappointment though. Haku stared at his slumbering partner with mild surprise while he waited for the bathroom to become open. He had awoken early at 6, but was surprised to find that Kurama had beaten him to the bathroom. Sasuke was just now starting to stir while Naruto, well, I love you, Ramen. Naruto proceeded to gnaw on the corner of his pillow that he held in his arms. He was still in dreamland. Didn't peg him to be such a talkative sleeper, did you? Kurama's voice startled the other boy slightly. Haku arched a brow as he took in the modified uniform that Kurama wore. He ditched the jacket entirely and replaced the blue vest with a red one along with a tie that had a curled-up fox pin in the middle of it, rather than the plain red tie they had been issued. His sunglasses were back in place, and Haku was slightly curious as to what the faunus eyes looked like. Thank you school regulations. Ruby cheered as she hugged her beloved cape. Realizing he'd yet to answer Kurama's question, Haku gave him a sheepish smile. I hardly know anything about any of you, he said. We all sort of rushed to our rooms and went to bed. You three fell asleep before I had even finished my evening wash. Nice to know a boy with a good sense of hygiene. Weiss laughed to herself. I got nothing on that. John conceded. Kurama nodded and brought his tail around in order for him to brush it. Sorry about that, but I had trained 2 other students in the forest and empowered Naruto twice along with Sasuke's one time. It was taxing for me. Sasuke, likewise, was exhausted from using his semblance along with my aura. Naruto, he's just a lazy bastard. There's nothing wrong with sleeping in once in a while. Ren defended. That's because you stay up all night. Nora chided her best friend. Only a few times, so I see. Haku chuckled and gathered his clothes. If you'll excuse me, I think I'll shower and dress before the other 2 wake up. Sure thing. Don't worry about finding any fuzzy surprises, I don't shed when I bathe. Kurama chuckled at his own joke while Haku let out a soft laugh of his own. Kurama waited until the bathroom door had shut and the shower had started before he looked over to his partner. Haku's in the shower now, you can stop covering your morning problem. Screw you, Otsutsuki. Sasuke grumbled as he sat up and covered his morning problem with his blanket. How the hell are you and Naruto not having this problem with her so close by? Just put him out of his misery already. Blake shook her head at male Blake's problem. Kurama's grin widened at the inaccurate pronoun, but concealed it as he began to carefully brush his tail. I can't say anything for the ramen addict, but as for me? I'm not that interested in you hairless apes, Kurama said. Sasuke rolled his eyes at the insult, while the fox-tailed teen continued. I plan to find myself a nice faunus girl later in life and have a litter or 2 like my father did. Hopefully nothing like my siblings were though. Sasuke snorted and waited for a few minutes before his morning problem went away. He looked around the rather bland room and then looked over at the generic clock on the wall. It's only 6:45? We've got less than 2 hours before classes start. Well, would you like to wake Sleeping Beauty or GH? Kurama suddenly went rigid and clapped his hands over his ears as he fell off of his bed to the floor. Son of a bitch, who blew that whistle? I didn't do it! Ruby cried instinctively. She shrunk down from Weiss' glare. It was stupid. Blake pointed out, her poor sensitive ears. It was unnecessary. Weiss argued. I thought it was a riot. Yan shrugged with a smile on her face. Who? What? Where's the ramen thief? Naruto asked after he shot up from his bed ready to fight. He looked around the room and then frowned. Hey, this isn't Ichiraku's all-you-can-eat ramen buffet. That was just a dream, idiot. Sasuke grumbled as he wiggled a finger in his ear. He got up and went over to the window, which he promptly slammed shut. Soundproofed up until you leave a window open. When I find whoever blew that goddamned whistle, I'm going to kill them, Kurama said with a low growl as he got back to his feet and adjusted his glasses. Ruby wisely decided to hide behind Yang. She made the best shield. He fixed his uniform and looked at his tail and the comb on the floor. Oh damn it, I lost count. Ugh, I hate when that happens. Yang pouted and started to pet her hair. Such a time consumption. You brush your hair? John asked. Duh. Ah man, that was just another dream. Naruto sulked. He raised a fist to the ceiling and shook it menacingly. Curse you, reality. You show me happiness, and then snatch it away before I can partake in it. Partake in what? The 3 looked at Haku as he stepped out of the shower in the men's uniform. Sasuke looked very surprised at this while Naruto and Kurama merely glanced at him. Naruto gave the uniform a once-over and shook his head while his arms crossed over his shoulders firmly. I'm not wearing that. Too stuffy, Kurama sighed. Naruto, you can modify your uniform slightly, but you must wear it to class. Make me, Get the duct tape, Nora declared with her fist in the air. Sounds like a good time, Yang said. She laughed when the others glared at her. Kurama looked at Sasuke, who stood up and promptly went to the bathroom with his clothes in his arm. It was his way of saying, this is your problem, and I'll let you deal with it. Frankly, Kurama felt as though his partner had ditched him. With an aggravated sigh, Kurama looked at his longtime friend. Naruto. Naruto's eyes darted to the furnace. Kurama, that thing tells me that the wearer is high class, obnoxious, snotty, no fun and bland. I am none of those things. I beg to differ, our uniform makes us look like the bomb. Yang grinned. The boy's uniform is a bit tight in the collar. John pursed his lips. And a bit preppy. Sucks for you guys, Yang said without sympathy. Kurama sighed. Well, you're wrong on two accounts. What's that supposed to mean? Naruto asked with a scowl. Naruto, Haku said as he put a hand on his partner's shoulder before Kurama could answer him. As our team leader, you are expected to set an example. By not conforming to the rules, you make yourself look ill-suited to be the team leader and make us look unequipped or unprepared for the challenges that we face ahead. Ruby winced. That was why she tried so hard after Weiss blew up on her. She liked being leader, despite the challenges it forced on her, and wanted to do her best at it. Naruto frowned and crossed his arms childishly. Yeah, but there's no orange. Oh my dash! Really? Weiss deadpanned. That's the problem? Hey! We all have our quirks. Ruby pouted at her partner while she hugged her cape. And thus we come to the real problem with the uniform, Kurama said with a roll of his eyes. He gestured to himself. Naruto, look at me. I all but ditched the jacket and swapped out the vest and tie. This is still acceptable and you can wear your uniform however you wish. I gotta wear the shoes, shirt and pants though, and a tie. Kurama added. Naruto grimaced. I hate dressing nice. I totally agree. Kurama nodded. They looked up as Sasuke walked out with the jacket and vest over his shoulder. They can't seriously expect us to wear these without modifying them, can they? Sasuke asked. Haku looked down at himself and arched a brow. I don't see anything wrong with it. That's because it suits you, Sasuke said with a smile. It really does. Pira nodded. Her comment pulled the attention to her, and she began to stammer. Well, Naruto blinked in confusion, while Kurama smirked and snickered. Before the leader of Team NHKS could ask what was so funny, Sasuke looked at him. Your turn to shower, idiot. Don't use all the water in the ocean. You guys are so mean, Naruto huffed as he disappeared into the bathroom with the uniform and a few other clothes in his arms. Haku looked at the two and folded his arms over his chest. He does have a point. That's rather cruel to call your friend an idiot multiple times. True, but we're just ribbing him. Sasuke shrugged. He's not dumb, but he's not the brightest bulb in the house, either. He knows when we're kidding around. However, we probably should warn you about his classroom habits. And I suddenly felt a chill go down my spine. Weiss narrowed her eyes. She stole a glance at an innocently whistling Ruby, who was still seated behind Yang. Habits? Haku asked as he ignored the loud bangs that came from a nearby room. Sasuke and Kurama exchanged a look before Kurama turned to Haku. Naruto does not do well in classrooms. Does he have a learning disorder? Haku asked. Sasuke shook his head as he pulled on a navy vest that had his symbol on the back. No, he's just bored. He never really understood what use any technical words or theories could have in a field. He's a kinesthetic learner through and through. John does better with a hands-on approach, as well. Pira added. She threw a smile at her partner. You tend to get bored in class, only in some. Others are sort of interesting. John admitted while he scratched the back of his head. Outside of class and on a mission, there's no one else I'd want to lead me. Kurama nodded. He's very good at what he does. Interesting, Haku said as he took in this new information about his partner. His thoughts were put on hold as Naruto came out of the bathroom in part of the school uniform without the jacket on. His white shirt sleeves were rolled up to his bicep, and somehow in the few minutes Naruto was in the bathroom, another patch with Naruto's swirl-like symbol was sewn almost professionally into the right shoulder. Unlike his friends, he kept the navy vest with Beacon's insignia and Naruto was in the process of adjusting his orange tie. Mama likes. Yang let her half-lidded eyes roam over the image as her smile grew. Down, girl. Blake bopped her teammate on the head gently. This thing is such a pain, Naruto said with a sigh as he gave up. He looked around at the surprised looks on his friends' faces. What? Damn stupid, you clean up good. If you had dressed up more often back in Con, I think you could have had at least 2 girlfriends by now. Kurama mused with a grin. He was comfortable with his sexuality enough to know when a fellow male looked good, but whereas Haku was nearly a girl in beauty or Sasuke had the right angles that gave off the prince-like appearance, Naruto was the handsome rogue, much like himself. I had a girlfriend. Really? Yan asked, her smile dimming slightly. A few dates with a girl doesn't make her your girlfriend, Naruto. Sasuke drawled. Oh cool. I get to break him in then. Yang's grin returned to its previous size. I'm going to pretend you didn't just say that. Blake and Weiss drawled together. Ditto. Ruby mumbled from her sanctuary. Naruto stuck his tongue out at Sasuke and crossed his arms over his chest. He looked at the door when there was another bang. Geez, who's being so crazy at a stupid hour? Probably PJ, Kurama said nonchalantly as he resumed brushing his tail. Think they're up? Naruto asked as he leaned against his designated dresser. He watched Haku and Sasuke as they began to make their beds and looked at his mess with an indifferent gaze. Hard not to be after that whistle. Kurama grumbled. Ruby, stop hiding behind me already. The older sister sighed. No, he's scary. Like a big bad Beowulf. That's just a story. It's a scary story. Ruby, I'll fart. I mean it. Yang warned. Ruby scowled and crawled out from behind her sister, going back to her seat next to Weiss. Blake glared daggers at Yang. If you do need to pass gas, please leave the room. I'd rather not die again. Oh, come on, I'll just bring you back with some CPR. Blake smacked the snickering Yang's arm while she flushed. An hour later, Naruto led his team out of their room, with Haku beside him looking at their schedule and map of Beacon. Kurama followed behind them, his brushed tail swished lazily inches from the ground, and Sasuke walked alongside him, his face buried in the most recent release of Ninjas of Love. Huh, he really is male, Blake. Weiss admitted. That means nothing. Blake hedged, her cheeks pink. You know, a lot of people give the toad crap for his dirty books, but I have to say, there's some decent plot here. Sasuke mused. I still can't believe you're reading that in public. Haku muttered distractedly as he looked on the map for their first class. To Sasuke, however, it sounded angry and he grimaced. Kurama saw this and grinned widely. Oh, this could be fun. I totally agree, he said with a nod. Only the most perverted men can read such garbage in public. Sasuke snapped the book shut and glared at Kurama, who merely gave him a grin in return. At least our Blake isn't so lewd to do such a thing. Right. She'd be a bit more fun, though. I can kill you too in your sleep. Blake threatened the white and blonde-haired girls. The girls zipped their lips, but were still grinning in victory. Naruto, who walked lazily with his hands intertwined behind his head, paused as a faint yell came from somewhere behind him. Did you guys hear that? Hear what? Haku, Kurama and Sasuke asked. Kurama's tail flicked, and he tilted his head. I think our clock's off by a few minutes, he said. Haku lowered the map and looked back at him. Why do you say that? Kurama stepped to the side of the walk and gestured for the others to do the same. Well, for one thing, most of the aura I sense is already gathered in large groups. However, there are a few small groups, including us, that are outside of the gathered areas. 2 such small groups are rapidly approaching and should pass by in 5, 4, 3, 2. We're late. John cried out as he and his team followed Team RWBY. Naruto waved at the 2 teams as they shot past and then let his hands rest behind his head. Man, his radar is awesome. Nora hummed. I wonder if he uses his tail to connect to an outlet to recharge or something. That'd be funny, like those old cartoons, and potentially dangerous, Rin said. Yeah, but it'd still be funny. We should probably fix our clock. Sasuke noted as he pulled his book out from behind his back. He'd seen what happened to a few boys that dared show some girls they read the series, and with a group comprised of 6 girls, Sasuke didn't want to take any chances. Nah, Blake would be cool with it. Yang stopped talking. Now, sure, whatever, ninja girl. He was already on thin ice with Haku as it is. Meh, what's done is done. Naruto shrugged. Can't fix the past, but you can determine the future. Team NHKS looked to their right as Professor Ashbin and Glinda Goodwitch stopped at the intersection beside them. Ashbin had his coffee mug in hand while Glinda had her scroll out, and was looking something over. Naruto smiled at the headmaster, and gave a small wave. Morning, Professor, Mr. Uzumaki. Ashbin nodded back and took a sip from his mug. Aren't you worried about being late for class? Naruto chuckled sheepishly and let one of his hands fall to his side while the other rubbed his neck. We weren't 5 minutes ago when we thought our room's clock was working fine, but now that we know otherwise, there wasn't much chance for us to be on time anyway. As my old teacher Kakashi used to say, why hurry when we'll already be declared late? Wow, Ruby said wide-eyed. I feel so stupid for rushing now. We were only late by a minute. Weiss frowned. Still, we ran for no reason. And while I like a good run, it's not fun if it's pointless. Class isn't pointless, Ruby. Weiss sighed into her hand. Sometimes. Ruby argued. She's got a point, Yang said with a nod, a few agreeing mumbles and nods coming from Team JNPR. Ashbin let a small smile cross his face. Kakashi Hatake? I was not aware he'd taken to teaching. He's a good huntsman, a wise man as well. Wise is not the word I would use to describe him. Glinda drawled as she looked up from her scroll and her gaze landed on Naruto and his team. She shut her scroll with a snap and crossed her arms. Mr. Uzumaki, where are your jackets and ties? We ditched them. They were too stuffy, Naruto said with a shrug. No fear the fool. John whispered. Goodwitch was one scary woman. Sasuke clapped his hand over his face while Kurama chuckled at the blunt honesty. Haku merely sighed and folded his campus map up. There was no real reason to have it out anymore since, like Naruto said, they were already late. Mr. Uzumaki, it is listed in Beacon Academy's rules for students to attend classes in uniform. Glinda frowned at the boy. Ashbin cleared his throat and looked at his friend. Now, Glinda, you as well as I know that adjustments can be made or accessories can be added to the uniform. In this case, it seems that Team NHKS has decided to exchange some materials while keeping with the style. Professor Ashbin Glinda began to say only to stop herself and sigh. Of course, Professor. It is your school. Professor Ashbin is so awesome. Ruby smiled at their headmaster. Big time. John smiled faintly. Quite. Ashbin agreed with a small smile before he looked at Team NHKS. And while your tardiness today can be overlooked, I would advise you not let it become a habit, Mr. Uzumaki. Naruto let a nervous chuckle out and nodded. Right, sorry Professor Ashbin. Professor, since you're here, could you tell us where our classroom is? Haku asked politely. Ashbin nodded and pointed down the way teams RWBY and JNPR had run. Team NHKS walked off after thanking him, and the headmaster took a sip of his coffee. A nice group of boys, aren't they, Glinda? Mr. Uzumaki and Mr. Otsutsuki are highly rated in combat, but their penchant for mischief and troublemaking when together worries me, Glinda said as she adjusted her glasses. And while Mr. Uchiha and Mr. Yuki are not prone to the same delinquency, I do not have confidence that they'll be able to contain the other two. Boo to containment. Yang jeered. Where's the fun without some troublemakers? CRDL? Pyrrha arched a brow at the blonde. They were bullies, not troublemakers, Yang said, waving off the Mistral champion. Troublemakers are mischievous boys who just want to get a laugh, or punish the wicked. Oh, I see. Pyrrha nodded in understanding. So you have informed me time and again when we reviewed their initiation. Ashbin wryly replied before he took another sip from his coffee mug, and continued his stroll. My grandfather said, Peter, oh, hello, boys. A rotund man at the front of a classroom said when Team NHKS came in through the doors. Team NHKS, was it? Yes, sir, Naruto said with a grin while his teammates walked down a few steps and slid into a row, leaving the seat on the end for Naruto. They had been tardy all day, and after their last class this fact had earned them a talking to from their professor. The team leader scratched the back of his head as he looked at the last professor he'd have to deal with today. Sorry we're late. We sort of got lost on the road of life. Ruby rubbed her chin. That's a good one. Weiss poked her finger into Ruby's cheek. No, you can't use that excuse. But it's perfect. The red-themed girl whined. No, Ruby. Sasuke groaned and let his head fall onto the desk in front of him, while Kurama let out a single laugh. Haku sighed and pulled out his scroll to take some notes for the class. The professor seemed to accept this answer, much to the bewilderment of the other students, since he nodded his head and smiled. Ah, very problematic that road can be. It takes a well-educated mind and a finely tuned body to traverse it with ease. Oh, come on. Weiss furrowed her brow and scowled when Ruby gave her a smug smile. See? Told you it's perfect. Shut up, Ruby. You may have a seat, Mr. Uzumaki. I'm Professor Port, if you didn't already know. Thanks, Professor P. Naruto gave a two-fingered salute and plopped down in his seat. Professor Port nodded back and looked around the classroom. Now, where was I? Ah, yes, my story. You see, back when I was a young lad, Haku nearly jumped when Naruto suddenly slumped over, out cold and letting out soft snores. The feminine boy looked to his two other teammates, who shrugged or smiled in a what-can-you-do fashion. He has classroom narcolepsy? Blake asked, perplexed at the thought. Best disease ever. John was in awe at how fast Naruto zonked out. That's gotta be a record or something. Realizing that they weren't kidding when it came to Naruto's lack of desire for education, Haku sighed and made an additional note at the top of his page to ensure Naruto got a copy. Kurama decided to take time to appreciate the notes of the Grim on the board and tune the professor out. He did arch a brow when he thought he heard the word cabbages, but ultimately decided to resume his studying of the board's notes on the structure and weak points of a Death Stalker. That would have been useful before we fought it. John deadpanned. Pyrrha shrugged. What can you do? We did it, and that's what counts. Right, John nodded with a small smile. Sasuke, like Haku, had his scroll out and was taking down notes. Unlike Haku, however, he was making notes of his observations on the teacher himself rather than the material that was being discussed. Narcissistic, egotistical, whimsical, boring, and to top it all off he's F.A. Sasuke's thought broke off when the professor cleared his throat and gave a pointed look to Team RWBY, who had unfortunately been stuck in the first row. Sasuke arched a brow and smirked as Professor Port stared the four girls down. Well, that sucks for them. Not cool. Yang frowned at Sasuke. It was weird enough for us, but did he have to point it out? He's got that kind of attitude, John said with a frown. Like a mean Rin. Rin frowned. Are you trying to imply something? No? John swallowed when Nora reached for her beloved hammer that he didn't realize was in the room. In conclusion, a true huntsman must be honorable. Kurama looked out the window as a butterfly passed by before a bird snagged it. He smirked. The wonders of nature. True huntsmen must be dependable. Naruto snorted awake and took in his surroundings. Geez, this guy's still talking? Curse you, reality, you once more keep me from which I love right as I'm about to truly experience bliss. True huntsmen must be strategic, well-educated and wise. Sasuke sighed as he let his scroll rest in front of him and glanced lazily at Professor Port. Shame you're none of those last three things. He's not that bad. Weiss defended the rotund professor with a frown. I can see you checking out the Fem Naruto from here. I knew it. Yang's eyes flashed red. Yang, take it easy. Ruby tried to placate her sister while Blake grabbed the blonde's shoulder. Yang grumbled to herself, and her eyes cooled down into lilac. Her arms crossed under her bust, and she scowled. I demand compensation. You probably won't get it. Weiss drawled. I can still demand it. Wait, did I just call her a? Oh crap baskets, he's rubbing off on me. Now, who among you believes themselves to be the embodiment of these traits? Professor Port asked as he looked around the room. Naruto arched a brow. What traits? Haku offered his scroll and Naruto looked them over. Nope, not me. He decided with a chuckle as he rested his head on his arms. Well, at least he's honest. Pira chuckled at Naruto's blunt nature. Offer him some lean though, Kurama said with a smirk. Hey, more lean means more ramen, and I'm always up for more ramen. Naruto returned with a cheeky grin. Sasuke shook his head. There's no one here who truly feels that way about themselves, aside from you? Naruto asked. Sasuke shook his head. Even I'm not that full of myself. Weiss made herself small when her teammates looked at her. Not one word. She warned. I do, sir. Weiss' hand shot up. I stand corrected. Apparently there is someone here who truly feels that way about themselves, Sasuke said in surprise. Wow, someone more egotistical than Sasuke. Maybe we were wrong, Naruto said. Maybe Sneeze is the femme Sasuke instead of Bell. I'm going to murder him. Weiss fumed while Blake had mixed feelings on the matter. Kurama chuckled and leaned back in his seat. Man, I wish I had a camera ready. This is going to be good. Haku sighed and closed his scroll as a rattling cage slowly rose up from the ground. I believe there's no more notes to be taken today. Ah man. There's a Grim. I would have said something if I'd known there was a Grim to fight, Naruto said with a pout as Professor Port gestured to the cage and told Weiss to get ready to face the monster. They waited for a few minutes before Weiss returned with her white-themed outfit on and rapier in hand. Go Weiss. Yang cheered. Blake waved a small flag with her team's name on it. Fight well. Yeah. Represent Team RWBY. Ruby cheered. Doll. Yang reached over and pinched Ruby's flushed cheek. Such a cute widow weeder. Shoop. Ruby winced out, waving her arms around. Blake rolled her eyes and smacked Yang's arm out of her face. Ruby rubbed her cheek and smiled at her faunest teammate. Thanks, Blake. Blake just nodded. Kurama chuckled. Oh, I want to jeer at Shni, but that was just adorable. See? Even grumpy Kurama thinks you're cute. Yang smirked. Careful, Weiss, Ruby's moving in on your man. That's not funny. Weiss scowled at the thought while Ruby turned red. I beg to differ. Kurama's got a weak spot for cute girls, Naruto said to his partner, who nodded. I completely understand. Haku smiled lightly. Ruby is a cute girl, it's hard not to have a weak spot for her. Yeah, if she pouted at him, I'm fairly certain he'd bend to her every whim, Naruto said with a grin. I would not. Kurama snapped with a scowl as he glared at the blonde. Ruby gained a gleam in her eyes. Sasuke smirked. Well, Naruto, it seems that Kurama has decided to indulge in denial. Oh, so he's on that boat with you, huh? Now both Kurama and Sasuke were glaring at the grinning blonde. All right, let the match begin. Port declared as he used his blunderbuss axe to remove the lock from the unknown Grimm's cage. The cage door fell down to reveal a shadowy warthog-like creature with the white bone mask connected to two large tusks and plates scattered across its small body. Weiss avoided the initial charge that the Grimm made and even dealt a counter out as she did. Not bad, Sasuke said thoughtfully. Had Borbatusks not been so heavily armored, I'd say that this would already be over. Indeed, Haku said as he observed the fight. Kurama laughed when Weiss' rapier was caught in the Grimm's tusks. She actually charged at it? Come on, even newbies at Con knew that Borbatusks are more armored near the head so that they can handle the impact their attacks make. Repugnant little dash. Weiss looked red in the face at her own fault, but she didn't need to be reminded of it from some ruffian. We'll have to cover Ruby's eyes and ears. Yang mused. Shut up, Yang, Naruto groaned as Weiss was disarmed. Man, she's really not paying attention to this thing at all, is she? Nope. Haku agreed as he shook his head. This was actually kind of irritating to watch. He sighed when Weiss dodged the Borbatusk's charge and the Grimm bounced off of the desk without any damage done to the wood. She does remember that she can use her semblance, right? I would assume that since Professor Port can bring a Borbatusk into the classroom that there would be some sort of safety measures in place for the other students. He brings up a good point, that was dangerous. Blake frowned. Or there's not and we're just expected to be able to dodge, Naruto said. He leaned back in his seat and rubbed his head. We are training to become huntsmen and huntresses after all. That makes more sense. Blake mumbled. True. Haku conceded. Weiss, go for its belly. There's no armor underneath it. Stop telling me what to do. Weiss cut Ruby off. Naruto sighed and shook his head. Not cool. It seems that Team RWBY has more cracks than one would think, Haku said. Every team has them starting out. Ruby mumbled. We didn't. John said, well, except for his debacle, but they took care of that quickly enough. He pointed at the screen. Team NHS doesn't seem to either. 3 of them have been friends for a while, though, Blake said pointedly. Yeah, but Haku's new, wouldn't that throw off the balance? John asked. Sasuke crossed his arms. There was bound to be a clash of all those different personalities. The only reason I get along so well with Idiot 1 and Idiot 2 is because we've known each other since childhood. And you fit in with us because, well, you're nice and polite, something to balance out our leader's brash and rude attitude. That answers your question, John. Haku has a very calming presence, much like Rin. Pyrrha looked to her teammate. Rin nodded at her in thanks for the compliment. Man, they really kind of lucked out, didn't they? John mumbled. Some of the worst fights can be between friends, Blake said as she and Weiss had a brief glance with each other. Screw you, Uchiha? Naruto flipped the dark-haired boy off without removing his eyes from the fight. He pursed his lips as the Borbotusk curled into a ball and spun rapidly before it charged at Weiss. I'd punch it, grab a tusk and bury the head into the ground, then use a bullet to finish it off. Restrain and reveal the underbelly, then do the same. Haku nodded. Kurama dug in his ear with his pinky. I'd probably find a way to knock it on its back and pierce it with Rikudo. I would electrocute it. Sasuke shrugged when the 3 other members of his team looked at him. What? When it works, it works. Damn elementals, having it so easy. Yang huffed. Yang, you can bench like 3 of you. Nora pointed out. And, just saying, true. The other 3 conceded and watched as Weiss made a few figures in the air to reflect the Borbotusk, and then jump off to impale the Grim with her rapier. Bravo! Professor Port said as a few members of the class applauded. It seems that we're in the presence of a true huntress. Kurama snorted and flicked the discovery in his ear off to the side. Yeah, she's a true huntress, and I'm going to ask her to marry me. Heavens no! Weiss exclaimed with a face. Here comes the bride, dressed just like Weiss. Yang sang softly with a grin. Here comes the groom, howling at the moon. Shut up, Yang! Weiss and Blake glared at the snickering blonde. The former for obvious reasons and the latter for the very inaccurate and racist comment. Careful, Kurama, that's how those sorts of rumors get started. Sasuke warned his partner with a smirk. He stood up as Professor Port dismissed the class. Oh, like you can start a rumor, Sasuke. Kurama scoffed. He buffed his nails on his chest and smirked. You're but a novice in the art of gossip, whereas I am a master. I did manage to get that rumor started after all. Sasuke and Naruto shuddered while Haku frowned in confusion. Now I really want the dirt on that rumor, Yang said earnestly. What rumor? He asked. Nothing. Sasuke and Naruto cut in quickly before Kurama could answer him. They glared at the grinning Faunus as he slipped by them and walked out of the classroom. If you say so, Haku frowned in confusion, while both Naruto and Sasuke sighed in relief. They certainly dodged that bullet. Boo! Tell us now! Yang yelled at the screen. Hey, Whisker Boy, where've you been all day? Yang said to her fellow blonde as Team NHKS walked up to herself and Blake while they sat with the boys of Team JNPR. The girls were in the midst of a spar, with Pyrrha offering advice to the energetic Nora after each attack she missed. You never sit still. Nora accused childishly with a look of contempt. Pyrrha gave her a weak smile in return. Well, your hammer looks like it hurts. A lot, only a little. Nora mumbled. I'll still dodge then. Lame, getting in trouble for having a broken clock and being late to every class today. How's it yummy? Naruto asked with a grin while Yang laughed, and Blake sighed. No more puns, please? Blake asked. That's like asking the sun not to rise. Yang scoffed. Blake sighed in defeat. Naruto grinned at her as he took the spot next to Yang. No promises, Bell. Sasuke shook his head and sat down next to Rin, while Kurama claimed the seat next to him. Good luck with that. We've been trying to get him to stop being stupid for years. The most we can manage well, Kurama? Kurama nodded and reached his jacket to withdraw a rubber chicken. He then tossed the chicken on the ground in front of Naruto. Naruto. Don't do anything stupid. Naruto stared at the chicken and looked like he was about to start hyperventilating before he whipped out a paddleball from somewhere. Must resist stupidity impulse. Wow, he's got a process. Ruby blinked. I thought it was just a hobby last time. Yang admitted with a snigger. Is that healthy? Blake asked as she arched a brow while Yang snickered. It gets better. Kurama smirked as he threw down a marker and a can of green beans. Isn't that a bit cruel? Pyrrha frowned. I don't think he cares. Weiss sniffed and crossed her arms. Naruto did start to hyperventilate, and sweat poured down the side of his face. The paddleball became a blur as Naruto's eyes flickered between the objects he desired to use so badly and the current source of entertainment he had on hand. Must resist stupidity impulse. Must resist not resisting well. That's not normal. Haku pointed out with a look of concern on his face. It's not, and I'm getting a little scared. Ruby started to curl up into a ball of safety. Kurama chuckled. No, but it is funny. With so many people present, it's harder. But if he was by himself, he'd last longer. So he gets off on having an audience? Yang asked with a lewd grin as she stared at the sweating and trembling whiskered blonde. What's wrong, Naruto? Performance problems? Pyrrha frowned. Yang shrugged. What? It's an innocent question. Woman, do not tease me right now. Naruto grit out as bullets of sweat shot from his head, while the paddleball looked like it was about to burst into flame. Never mind. There it goes. Yang grinned and, despite the frantic waving coming from Kurama and Sasuke, leaned in to whisper in his ear. I can help you with those problems. Why in the world would you poke a bomb? Blake glared at her partner. Because it's fun? Blake groaned while Nora cheered. Boom! The paddleball snapped off the string and shot into the sky. Naruto tossed the ballless paddleball away and grabbed his head with an anguished cry. I can't take it anymore. He vanished in a burst of speed that left a large cloud of smoke in his image. Yang waved her hand through it, and the smoke scattered in the air. The items at his feet were gone, as if they were never there. Why to go, Yang? RWBY deadpanned. I'm not apologizing. Yang huffed. Oh, what have we done? Kurama mumbled. His skin seemed to pale and his glasses slid down slightly to nearly reveal the top of his eyes. We armed him. Well, there goes Beacon. RWBY slumped her shoulders. Sasuke looked worried. You don't think he'd actually prank her first, do you? Prank who? John asked nervously. Sasuke's fetish appeal. Good witch? John paled. Oh no, that was the end of it all. We need bunkers. Why don't we have bunkers? RWBY whimpered. Screw you, Otsutsuki. Sasuke grunted with a punch to the faunus arm. Kurama snickered while John looked worried. No, but seriously, who did he want to prank? He asked again. Who want to prank? The group looked back to find Naruto back in his seat next to Yang, looking like he hadn't just run off like a madman frothing at the mouth. He even had a new paddleball in his hand and seemed to casually play with it while he tilted his head to admire Pira's derriere when she bent over to help Nora back on her feet. Pira flushed and scooted back in her seat, concealing her rear from view. It's not bad, but mine's better. Yang mumbled. She rubbed her chin. I wonder if he's a booty boy. Might have to start working on that so I don't lose to Blake. Why would you lose to me? Blake asked, her cheeks a bit red. Because you got the bell booty. The what? You heard me. What's your secret? Is it the tuna? We are not talking about this. Blake hissed. Yang pouted. Spoilsport. Naruto, where did you go? Haku asked his teammate. He got no response. Naruto, Sorry, I was admiring the scenery. Naruto grinned at his partner. Lecture, Weiss said with a scowl. He's just being a boy. You wouldn't mind if Neptune ogled your butt, would you? Yang countered. That dash. I have no idea what you're talking about. Weiss heatedly denied. Sure you don't. Sup, Haku? Where did you go just now? Haku asked again. Me? I didn't go anywhere. I was just sitting here admiring the scenery and playing with my paddleball. He looked over at Yang and adjusted the way he held the childish toy so that it made a lewd hand gesture. You know, to prepare myself for those long lonely nights. Yang snickered despite herself. Blake shoved her slightly and Yang gave her a sheepish grin. What? It's funny. It's nice to see a guy with a sense of humor. Yang smirked. It's disgusting. Blake drawled. This coming from the girl with a copy of Ninjas of Love, Naruto said dryly. He ignored the blush that flared up on Blake's face and looked at Sasuke. Seems Kurama and I were right, Sasuke. She is a female version of you. I hate them. All of them. Blake growled. You're just mad because they know you read porn. Yang waved her off. That means he was in your room. Weiss glared. Oh. Yang paused, unsure how to react to that. Yang looked at her partner with a grin. So Ninjas of Love, huh? Shut up. Blake hissed. She glared at Naruto. How do you know that? Naruto glanced over at her with an arched brow. Know what? That I have a copy of Ninjas of Love. You do? Wow, that's kinky. Hey Sasuke, I have good news for you. You got a book buddy. You can start a book club, a kinky book club. I'd like a membership card. Yang said with a raised hand. Blake slapped the hand down, her cheeks still pink from her other falling for that so easily. I'll catty, aren't you? Shut up, Yang. Meanwhile, look on the bright side, Weiss. He wasn't in our room yet. No, Yang. RWBY and Weiss frowned at the grinning blonde. Yang burst into laughter along with Kurama while Sasuke and Blake flushed bright red. Rin and Haku rubbed their faces with their hands while Juan looked confused. What's Ninjas of Love? He asked. Naruto looked at his fellow blonde with shock and his paddleball stopped. Tell me you're joking. John shook his head. Dear you poor boy. Naruto gave his new friend a smile. Alright, where to begin? Well, it all starts with our hero named Namato from the village of Pusei. Weiss gave Blake a disgusted look. Some standards you have, Blake. Oh, shut up, Weiss. The fauna snapped back, her whole face as red as RWBY's cloak. Namato is on an endless journey to find his one true love. John smiled. Ah, that sounds nice. I should get a few copies for my sisters. It does sound like a good idea, John said lowly. No! Blake exclaimed in panic. No! Sasuke and Blake cried out quickly while Yang fell backwards into the bleachers as she laughed. Ah, yes, I guess I should be honest if you have sisters. Don't want any visits home to end in a broken puke boy, now do we? Naruto asked. He leaned forward and looked at Juan. You see, Namato is a master of the FA pin fist style and has yet to be defeated on the battlefield against any male or female opponent. Yang, who had never read the series, stopped laughing and sat up. I'm sorry, what? Naruto looked at her with an arched brow. What? Namato experimented from time to time, Yang's eyes widened and she let a small grin cross her face. Go on. Yang glanced at Blake. You're not getting my copies. PSH, you're no fun. Yang pouted. What are you all talking about? Pyrrha asked as she walked over to join the group with Nora not far behind her. Naruto looked up at her, taking a brief moment to admire her figure from this angle, before he grinned. Oh, Sasuke and Blake just suggested a book for John to read. You son of a bi dash. Kurama, who looked far too giddy as he listened to this whole conversation, covered Sasuke's mouth before he could finish that sentence. I'll dash. Blake, likewise, was stopped and her mouth was covered by Yang, who looked at Naruto expectantly. Blake looked at Yang in betrayal. It must be done, Yang said with a serious face. No, it doesn't. God, Yang, he's not even real. I don't crush your dreams, don't crush mine. Don't leave me hanging. Naruto, how many guys did Namato take on? She asked. Yang, there's only one thing I let hang purposefully, and that's because of genetics. Naruto quipped with a grin. Yang grinned back at him. Oh, is that a fact? What's the book you were discussing? Pyrrha asked, curious and trying to not think about what the two blondes had meant while Nora pestered Ren about his pink cheeks that matched his hair. HM? Oh, something about duality. I dunno, I wasn't really paying attention. Naruto admitted as he went back to playing with his paddleball. He reached into his vest pocket and pulled out his scroll, which he used to check the time. Any second now. Kurama stopped smiling and released his partner's mouth. What did you do? I certainly didn't set up an elaborate prank that would take too long to explain with the materials you left so tantalizingly close to me, Naruto said with an innocent blink of his eyes. That means he. Yes, we know that means he did it, Yang. Weiss cut off the blonde. Yang just kept grinning. Why do I feel doom in the air? John wondered aloud. Good witch is going to kill them, and then us, Ruby said with a whimper. We are so expelled. Sasuke groaned. That's only if I'm caught. Naruto grinned as his team all paled. And as far as all of you know, I was here the whole time. Which I was. Yang snickered and let her arm wrap around Naruto's shoulders. Whisker boy, I'm starting to think that you and I are going to get along way better than I originally thought. Haku and Blake shivered. Being the two blondes' partners, that meant they were partially responsible for their actions and were required to keep an eye on them. Blake closed her eyes and let out a soft whimper. John opened his mouth to say something when a loud scream came from the other side of Beacon. All eyes went to Naruto, who once more resumed playing with his paddleball. Nora, whatever you do not ever make Naruto angry. Ren firmly told his partner and longtime friend. Nora tilted her head. I don't know why I would, Ran. I don't want to make anyone angry. I want us all have pancakes. I prefer waffles. Death to the waffle lover. Nora proclaimed to the heavens, her eyes red as her team jumped on her to keep her down. Nora! Snap out of it. Ren grunted. He must be slain. Nora glared at Sasuke, who merely stared back with a brow arched, silently challenging her to do something about it. Nora! But run! Ren stared at her. Nora pouted and glared at Sasuke. I will break you into 1,000 pieces, Nora said in a low menacing voice. She was now bundled up in a cocoon of duct tape. Better people have tried. They haven't met my hammer then. Ren flicked her nose. Nora, settle down. Naruto and Kurama took that as their cue to start whistling innocently. Haku sighed and looked up at the orange red sky. It's getting late, and we still have classes tomorrow. I suggest we turn in for the night. Good call, partner. Naruto grinned and hopped to his feet, still playing with his paddleball. Haku, Kurama and Sasuke weren't far behind him as he started to walk away. See you guys tomorrow. Tell Ruby and Sneeze we hope they have nice dreams. It's Schnee, Weiss said indignantly, her hands balled into fists. Okay, how can you two be so comfortable with this? Sasuke asked under his breath as Naruto and Kurama started to change into some night clothes while Haku ducked into the bathroom for a shower. Naruto looked at his raven-haired friend as he pulled up a pair of running shorts and tossed his clothes in a bin at the other side of the room. Comfortable with what? She's showering and you two are just getting all casually undressed. Sasuke replied with a frown. Finally it comes to fruition. Yang rubbed her hands eagerly. Naruto blinked. She? Haku, you idiot! Naruto looked at Kurama, who gave him a smirk. Naruto seemed to get the idea as he grinned back and looked at Sasuke. She hasn't complained so far. Besides, Ajban probably wouldn't have assigned her to stay with us if she wasn't all right with it, Kurama said with a smirk. I spoke with her earlier while you were in the lunch line. She went to a co-ed school and shared showers with guys, so sharing a room with guys wasn't that big of a deal for her. Oh, that's downright evil. I love it. Yang laughed, holding her sides. This is too good. Naruto turned away and bit onto his knuckles to conceal his laughter while Sasuke snapped his head over to Kurama so fast. The faunus was slightly worried his partner had broken something. Ah, really? Kurama smirked. Hook, line and sinker. Damn, I'm good. Really? Sasuke's surprised stare turned into a soft smirk that usually made girls back home fawn over his appearance. Or as Naruto would put it, cream their panties. It's nice, but not that impressive. Yang shrugged, though Ruby looked a bit pink in the face. Maybe there was some hope for her weapon nut of a sister. He grabbed his towel off the rack outside the bathroom and stripped himself down to his birthday suit. All the innocent girls and guys covered their eyes. I've seen worse. Blake shrugged. Meh, I've looked up better. Yang commented. She rubbed her chin. Whiskers has nicer abs and a sexy down belt. The only thing Sasuke has is a pretty decently sized and trimmed. Stop narrating. Weiss fretted, her eyes covered with her hands. My innocent ears. Ruby whined, covering her face with her cloak's hood. The two other males weren't all that impressed. They had seen their friend naked before in the locker room. If you'll excuse me, I think I'm going to go see if I can make this team really worthwhile, Sasuke said as he slipped into the bathroom. Kurama waited until the door shut with a soft click before he hopped up from his bed and began to dig around in his dresser. Camera, where's my camera? This is going to be amazing. Naruto, once he managed to calm down, looked over at the excited Faunus and scratched his head. I dunno, Kurama. Maybe this was a little much. Haku probably won't enjoy Sasuke's attempt to seduce him. He won't, but we will. Yang smiled widely. I'll make it up to him later, Kurama said as he brushed Naruto's worries aside. Both teens looked at the bathroom door as a loud shriek came from the bathroom and was followed by a thud. They heard the shower cut off and a concerned soft voice mutter something they couldn't make out. The two waited silently until Haku burst out of the bathroom with a towel around his waist and a worried look on his face. Guys. Sasuke's fallen and hit his head on the toilet. What do we do? Get out of my way. I need to get pictures of this. Kurama rushed past the bewildered Haku while Naruto fell off of his bed and roared with laughter. Poor Haku could only wonder why they had reacted in such a manner while flashes and clicks of a camera came from the bathroom. In the end, Haku sighed and went to his dresser to dress for the night. His teammates were weird, but he wouldn't trade them for the world. I would in a heartbeat. Weiss argued. If you had them, right? Ruby blinked. That's what I meant, yes, I wouldn't. Yang grinned. We know. Ruby, Blake and Weiss drawled. What if RWBY watches Naruto vs Gaara? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel. And leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down and thanks for watching the video and see you guys in the next video.